Approaching 5 o'clock, we're going to call the meeting of the Camarillo Library Board order. And may I have a roll call, please, Ms. Madlin?
Trustee Kildee?
Here.
Trustee McDonald?
Here.
Trustee Morgan?
Here.
President Pro Tem Craven?
Here.
President Tremblay?
Here. Ms. Craven, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Certainly. Please rise, place your hand over your heart, and join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Do we have any amendments to the agenda this evening?
No amendments to the agenda, Mr. President.
All right. Do we have any public comments? We have public but no comments at this time. We have 2 items on consent. Do I hear a motion from the board on consent?
Move the approval.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. May we please vote?
That passes unanimously.
All right, so we are through the consent calendar. There are no items from a departmental standpoint. Any items from legal counsel? No. Comments from staff?
Mrs. Rolfe is here to address the board.
Please, Mrs. Rolfe. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And I just have a couple of things that I'd like to share. First of all, thank you so much to members of City Council and City staff for coming in to read to our children in the library. It makes such a difference when a young child sees somebody who's professional and adult and a really, really busy person taking time out of their day to read to the children, to show that children that reading is an important part of their lives, and we're passing it on to the next generation. So I specifically wanted to name the people who have come in to share that joy with our kids on Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings in May. Council member Mike Morgan, thank you so much. Dave Murray, Chief of Police. Charlotte Craven, our Vice Mayor. Tony Tremblay, Council member and President of the Board. Richard Petropoulos, Director of Administrative Services. Thank you so much. Jeffrey Madlin, City Clerk. Dave Norman, City Manager. Jeannie Wilson, Finance Director for the City. Dave Klotzel, Director of Public Works. Brian Pirrick, City Attorney, and next week Jan McDonald, the City Mayor, and Joe Vaca, Director of Community Development. I just wanted to thank you all personally and from all of the team at the library for coming in and sharing the joy of reading with the kids. So we hope this is going to be an annual event where we can get people to come and to share their joy of reading with those children. Makes such a difference to us. It's almost as good as Santa. So there's a couple of other things that I wanted to share with you. We did acknowledge some recognition from the city for the current work that's going on with the RFBC. The Russell Fisher Business Collection is doing really well under the auspices of George Winkler, who is the coordinator for the grant program, and he wanted to share a couple of things that they're doing right now. The Camarillo Business Expo is coming up soon, June the 6th from 4 to 7 p.m. And the theme this year is Full Throttle, Pilot Your Business to Success. This is in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. We're anticipating 45 local businesses that are expecting to attend as exhibitors, and we typically have around 500 attendees for the Summer Expo, so we're really interested, really looking forward to that and hope everybody comes to see it. There's a workshop on creating your mission statement for work and life, and that's on May 24th. It's helping business owners and community members craft a unified mission for both their work and their personal life. So that's May 24th from 6 till 8. And starting in July, we're really excited about this. We've got some amazing databases and resources that are operated through the Russell Fisher Business Collection. And starting in July, our coordinator, George Winkler, is going to be doing some personal mentoring using those databases. So he's going to go into lynda.com, which is a really wonderful resource resource that we offer to our patrons, and he's going to be showing the videos and then having one-on-one personal or even group tutoring using those resources. So he's going to be guiding those himself rather than exclusively bringing in external speakers. He's going to be facilitating those, and we're working on that together as well. So we're really excited what's happening right now as we build the Russell Fisher business collection offerings in a broader way. One more thing that I'd like to add is that our Camarillo Reads program is coming up on May 21st at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The author Laura McBride is flying in from New York, especially for a Q&A and author talk. We have 100 copies of this. Most of them are actually checked out right now, which is really exciting, and it's the second time. We had a big outgoing of the book when we first launched it back in early March. It's all out again, but we do have places for holds if people would like to get on the holds list. They're coming back and going out every single day. So if anybody hasn't read it, it's a really good read. Highly recommend it, and come and join the conversation with the entire community gathering to talk about one single book. And there are companion books for teens and children as well that are being talked about in the same week. So please put that on your calendars to come and see. The author. Thanks so much for your time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to thank everybody for sharing their joy. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Rolfe. Do any of the trustees have any questions? All right.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. I enjoyed reading.
Some are real sharp right in front, really want to do things, and others are out visiting, and like 3-4-year-olds will do.
Just on a personal note, Mrs. Craven and I had the chance to tag team, I guess, if that's the appropriate expression, and I had a blast. But true confessions, I was really apprehensive going into it, so I asked my wife, Kathy, who just retired last year after 36 years as a public school kindergarten teacher, for some tips. And so she gave me some tips, and I followed them, and everything turned out just fine. So
You did a good job. We made a good team.
I thought we made a very good team, so thank you for that opportunity.
Oh,
We
gosh,
enjoyed it.
thank you so much for doing it.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Let's see. Any other comments from staff? Comments from the library trustees? If not, then we stand adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call the regular Camarillo Sanitary District meeting for May 10th to order, please. Let the record reflect that all the directors are present. Any amendments to this?
No amendments, Mr. Chair.
Public comments for the Cam San District? Okay, we'll move on to item 3. It's the consent calendar.
Move the approval.
Second.
It's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes unanimously. Okay, no department or legal. Any comments from the staff tonight?
No comments.
Comments from the staff? Any comments from the board members tonight about any issue? No? Okay. With that, we stand adjourned.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Camarillo that was the last one. Camarillo Successor Agency to order, and let the record reflect that all council members are present. Do we have any amendments to this agenda?
No amendments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Public comments. I do not have any speaker sheet. Would anyone in the audience like to address the Successor Agency? Seeing no one come forward, we move on to the consent calendar. Move the approval. We have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments? If not, please vote. And that does pass unanimously. There are no other items on the agenda unless we have items from staff, items from council members, board members. If not, we are adjourned. And with that, I will call the meeting of the Camarillo City Council to order, and let the record reflect that all council members are present. Do we have amendments to this agenda?
Madam Mayor, in the interest of Councilmember Kildee's time, who will need to leave early this evening, we would like to take item 4B immediately and before consent calendar.
Even before consent?
Yes, even before consent, Madam Mayor.
4B.
4B.
So with that, then, that would be, if it's agreeable to council, that would be the next item on the agenda. So if you'll all turn to City Council
item B, and that would be Mr. Norman.
Yes,
Staff
thank you
report?
very much, Madam Mayor. On March 8th, the City Council adopted a new policy to formalize the process by which funding is provided to nonprofit organizations and governmental agencies for cultural and entertainment events that benefit the residents of Camarillo. Upon approving the policy, however, the policy was re-referred to the policy committee to take up two questions and to consider two amendments. The first would be to prohibit a council member from voting on a funding request if that council member is serving as a member of the board of directors or as an officer in an organization being considered for funding. And the second was to consider a prohibition upon more than one council member to serve at a time as a member of the board of directors or officer of an organization seeking funding under this policy. At the subsequent policy committee meeting of April 25th, both members of the policy committee agreed to recommend to the council the first prohibition regarding council members voting on funding requests from organizations in which they serve as a board member or director. And we have provided the appropriate language in the document as seen in the red line. However, the committee could not come to agreement as to the prohibition about more than one council member serving on an organization that would receive funding from the city. And so the policy committee decided to bring it back to council, having not making a recommendation. And what we would suggest is, as staff, is that you discuss that second prohibition. We have included some language that you may wish to consider if you want to take that up as a subsequent amendment to place that into the policy. So with that, I leave it to the council.
Okay. Well, let's take, since we have two issues, let's take the two separately, if we might, and just discuss them. The first one was the issue of prohibiting a council member from voting on a funding request if the council member is serving as a member of the board of directors or officers of an organization being considered for funding. Any comments on that one?
I'll start. Yeah, I think that's appropriate. I can certainly support that. I think, you know, it goes a long way to getting where, you know, we need to go as far as the transparency on this issue. And we've done some other things as well. So I can certainly support the first part of this as something that I think would be appropriate at this particular point. And I know I've been on nonprofits, and I think everyone up here on the dais has been on nonprofits here too. So we certainly know the ins and outs of serving on that, and I think it would be appropriate to support the first part of this as well.
And this isn't if you're just a member. This is if you're a member of the board of directors or an officer. So you can still send in your check for a donation.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know,
That kind of member, right?
that kind of member, because there are two kinds of members, and I want to make it clear. This is a member of the board of directors or an officer of the organization.
Correct. And just to clarify for the public, we have always followed the law as far as declaring
Right.
the issue according to our city attorney's guidance. So it's not like we were doing something that was inappropriate as far as the law goes. This is just making it a little tighter, a little clearer, if that's the right word, Mr. City Attorney?
You've always followed the law. This is would be an extra step beyond what the law requires. In terms of transparency, could be one justification for it. But the answer to your question is yes, you have followed the law.
And the other thing that I want to make sure as we talk about that this isn't just funding a nonprofit for the sake of funding a nonprofit. This is funding specific community events that the council has already approved. So it's not like a new grant program that you're out competing with other organizations for. This is simply talking about those items that were line items on the budget that the council approves in that fashion. So I just want to make it clear that it isn't funding just a nonprofit for whatever they want to use it for. It's for a specific event previously approved by the council. Any other comments on number 1? Mr. Morgan?
I feel the same way. I think that we maybe shouldn't vote if we're on that organization. Maybe in my mind, it's kind of a conflict, not necessarily legally, but I think that's appropriate for us to not be able to vote.
Okay. And Mr. Tremblay?
I do have a couple of comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess just to start off with, I know that we extensively discussed this item on March 8 at Council, and I thought that it was a healthy discussion to have, and I appreciated everyone's remarks on it. I also want to say thank you to the Policy Committee for the continuing work on this. I can support the First Amendment to the policy, which is the addition of paragraph D2. My personal view, though, just so I make it clear, is that I don't think the amendment goes far enough. But that said, I do think it's a step in the right direction. We did receive in written comments from the public prior to the meeting a suggested amendment that was proposed. And the amendment that was proposed was, in essence, the flip side of what I already proposed on March 8, which would be a prohibition on nonprofit organizations receiving assistance where a council member is an officer or director. But my motion didn't receive a second, and I don't think it's fruitful or efficient or, for that matter, realistic to repeat the process tonight. But I would like to, and I hope the council does, revisit that issue in the future. So with that said, I'm ready to proceed on this amendment.
Okay. And I'm going to make it clear again, this isn't funding any nonprofit. This is funding a specific event used for a specific item. So, and I got copies of 2 letters, so let's make that perfectly clear to the public. We received a letter from Mr. McVicker and a letter from Mr. Villa. Those are the only 2 I saw.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So this hasn't been a huge outpouring, and these people write us all the time. So about just about everything we do, they have a comment. Okay, so then let's go on to item 2, which is the prohibition. Or do you want to vote on that separately? Okay, we certainly can. Then let's have a motion on the first bullet point, number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve what is D2, that any organizations on which a council member sits as a director or an officer which are proposed to receive funding, there will be a separate budget review and adoption process, and that council member or members will not participate in the review discussion or the vote on funding for that organization. The council member may be present during the review discussion and vote. And I read this because I want to make it clear what we're voting on.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this piece? If not, please vote. And that does pass unanimously. So the second item is I think it was Mr. Kildee made the motion at the last meeting, so I'll start with him when we get there, is a prohibition with that more than one council member cannot serve on a member of those board of directors or as an officer of that organization.
For things that we fund.
For items that we fund, correct. And I was just glancing at one of these letters, and since Mr. Tremblay mentioned them, if you read this letter, you would think that you're receiving a payment for it and that you have a financial gain. And that's just absolutely not true. There is no payment involved in this. You have no personal financial gain in any of it. You're simply serving your community. So I'm sure he'll post this on his website, but let's make it perfectly clear to the public that there is no personal financial gain. And as far as family members, if you can convince a family member to come out and work,
For free.
For free, they're not getting paid, so I don't see a problem with that one either. So I think you've got people who just like to complain about what we do. Mr. Kildee, would you like to start this discussion?
Yeah, when I brought this up, I didn't know what the policy was going to entail until the policy committee brought this back. And when I received what the policy with their due diligence has done, I've been going kind of back and forth on this. But My opinion right now is what we just approved on item 1. I think that pretty much takes care of item 2 on here. And I say that because I think there are some organizations that are very small that some of the members will have to be on the executive board as well. Not everybody, like some organizations, have several hundred members to this here. And I think, from my thinking at this particular point, that it's fairly restrictive on what we're trying to do right here. And we've changed the policy on this. We've got item 1 that was just approved here, and it seems like we've gone a long way to really trying to deal with some of the issues that we've had, not just now, but in the past as well. And there's a lot of community members that actually do a lot of good here, and it can be a launching pad to run for the city council too. So to have it that restrictive, to say that they can't really do any of the beyond the executive board, I think is a little bit too restrictive than for what my liking is. So I'm of the opinion right now what we approved in item 1 I think takes care of a lot of this issues. I would hate to restrict, because, you know, as we know, in this generation, and it's not so much our generations, but the younger generations, they're not joiners like a lot of other generations were. So anybody we can get to volunteer, family members or whatever, is a really good thing right now. And a lot of us serve on service organizations, and what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, one of a huge issue is getting enough members to join now. It's a big issue now. So to me, what we've done earlier, I think, in my opinion, takes care of a lot of this.
Okay, I will. One comment I would have is that if you have 2 members then who have to abstain, what happens if there's only other 2 members present? That would mean the other 3 would have, so you're limiting that ability to have that discussion, so you've already taken 2 council members out of the discussion. So if the idea, the reason I liked what you said before was, if there is an idea out there that the council is giving away money or only favoring these particular ones, the fact that you have 2 council members sitting there, that's a bigger percentage of your council vote, where if you only have 1, you would always have, you know, a majority who wouldn't be a part of it. So that would be the one thing. And again, I'm going to go back to, though, this isn't any organization, this is only funding certain events, so it's not, you know, a blanket for everybody either, so. Anybody else?
I do have, I disagree with what you're saying, because I started the Arts Council. I was the founder, gathered all the money except for the lights for that park out there. Been on the boards ever since that time. And what this would in essence do is make me have to resign. Mm-hmm. And I don't agree with that. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Well, there's a point of being an active member and a point of someone who's been around, and that's what you have to decide. So it's if it's an issue, then we do it. If it's not an issue, you know, it doesn't make a difference to me, but you know, whatever. Mrs. Craven? I have no idea. His phone ring.
Are you finished?
I'm just saying that this has come up at a time when it's one of my babies.
Well, Mr. Morgan, you're not overly active
anyway. I have started that thing, and I want to make sure it keeps going.
30 years ago?
Yeah, and stayed with it ever since, and gathered money for it in the beginning. And anyway,
well,
it's one of those organizations which we have fun at, and it's just disappointing if that happens. And I can't be on there anymore.
I personally believe that we don't need D3. That's just, I think that D3 is what we're talking about. D2 was the other issue. If you look at the staff report.
it was 2 on my staff.
Look at the staff report. There, D3. It would be added as D3, and I'm saying I don't think we need to add it. I think if, I just don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
Do you want to go?
Tremblay?
Well, I didn't hear Mr. Kildee say that he was going to make a motion for D3, and I just heard unless I'm discerning it wrongly, and I just heard Mrs. Craven say that there wasn't a necessity for D3. I have my own issues with D3 as a matter of principle, but it sounds like there isn't going to be. Well, no, but I don't want to. If it's not even going to come in as a motion, then I don't think I need to go into it.
Well, if Mr. Kildee is saying he's leaning one way or another, tell us what it is you
Starting the discussion.
start the discussion if you have a difference of opinion.
Well, okay, a couple things. First of all, on just a technical, on the legal side with respect to the suggested form of the language, I don't know what the difference is between a city council member serving as a member of that organization's board of directors or in the disjunctive as a director of the organization. Either way, it's being a member of the board of directors. So I just from a language standpoint, but that's the technicality aside. I'm not sure I really understand the rationale of why you have 1 versus 2 in terms of the why it would make a difference respectfully in 1 versus 2. I mean, I'm not supportive as a matter of principle. Fundamentally, it's because we go back to the arguments that I made on March 8 and earlier this evening, and I hope we get a chance to revisit the whole issue of council members being directors or officers of nonprofits who are seeking assistance. So, in any event, I wouldn't be inclined to support D3, whether it's 1 or it's 2.
Okay. Well, then I hear that one. And
as a matter of principle.
Yeah. As far as a director and officer, I caught that too and would have changed it to officers, but I'm not hearing anyone want to go forward with that one. This thing that's still bothering me in all of this, and I keep hearing you all say it too, these are organizations who partner with the city to put on functions for open to the public. So that's not just an organization out there. And I suppose someone else could come forward and say, I'd like to put on some event, and then the council approves it, and you go through that process. But this isn't just any nonprofit out there that goes through our community service grants or anything else. It only applies to funding for specific events that were already in the line items in the budget. So, and maybe the time's come that the city takes over these big events that we do all the time, and then we won't have any of them.
We're not voting on that tonight. That's not on the agenda.
No, but he talked about what he'd like to do in the future. So, if we come back with that discussion, then that's the discussion we should have, is whether it's time to, if the city's going to fund them or be a party to. I'll go to the concerts in the park. Most cities do it. A lot of them have parks and rec departments. But it is often done by a governmental agency and not by a nonprofit when you do that many. So, Mr. Kildee, I know you have to leave. So we voted on the one, and unless you're going to make a motion on the other, I assume we don't need a motion.
Die for lack of a first.
Yeah, so you don't have anything. So with that, I think we are done with this
Can I
agenda.
just make one quick comment? The individuals up here that have worked so hard for the events, I want to commend them, all of us up here through the years, especially some here that'll go unnamed, have worked extremely hard on putting these events with one goal in mind, and that's for the betterment of our residents of the city. And in no way, shape, or form did it mean that I was to think anything other than commend this current council and previous councils that have been extremely active and made our city for what it is tonight or today.
Before you leave, just one thing, Charlotte, before you leave, we're not the only city. I mean, you go to other cities like Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, they contribute to programs that benefit the city. And there's no I see these 2 letters that usually come to us periodically from the same people, and they're criticizing us for giving money to things that benefit the city, benefit our people, our public. And a lot of it's art, art of its own, music, whatever. And if we weren't there, we'd be a dull city. I'm telling you, because Ventura gives to theirs, Oxnard gives to the Strawberry Festival, everyone does. So I don't see where they're coming from.
I just had one other comment that I meant to make. I think we all received 2 letters on this. We've got more than 65,000 people in this city, and there were only 2 people who cared about it. That's the way I felt about it.
Thank you for moving the agenda around.
You're welcome, and
Enjoy your daughter's play.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
we should announce that for to understand that you have a family commitment.
I have a family commitment. My daughter is down at a college in L.A., and she's got a performance that she's very active in, and I need to go down there and see.
Get out of here, Kevin. You're gonna-
Active in, didn't she write it?
She,
Yeah.
She wrote the
Wrote
play.
the play.
So drive safely and enjoy.
And go.
Okay, so let's go back and get back in order. Let's go back to the consent calendar.
Move the
We don't
approval.
forget it. I have a question on item E. If someone wants to second the motion, then I'll ask my question. We had a motion to approve
Consent.
consent
A
calendar.
motion, oh,
We have a second?
I make a second, but there are a couple things that I would like to make a comment on, and one I need to note for the record an abstention. So do you want me to, what would you like me to do, Madam Mayor?
Do that. You can second approval, and then we'll fix all that
All
stuff.
right, let me second that.
Okay.
But then I've got to note for the record that I need to abstain from item B on disbursements because my firm represents a number of the payees for those warrants, similar to what I did at the last meeting. Secondly, I have a question. Well, let me ask Mr. Pierik, is it proper that I make a motion to approve the consent calendar if I'm abstaining from one of the items?
You can second and then abstain.
Okay. Thanks for the parliamentary advice. Secondly, I do have a comment, Madam Mayor, on G,
G is enjoy.
but it's only a comment.
Okay, would you like to make your comment on G, and then I'll ask my question?
Oh, okay, thanks. On G, that's the State Coastal Conservancy Prop 1 funding program grant on the stormwater infiltration basin design. And I want to compliment staff on all the groundwork that you've done on this. I want to make sure that the public understands that, first of all, this is an application to the state for grant funds for design of this project, but I want to make sure that the public understands that this is not a project that is city-initiated in the sense that these are requirements of the Regional Water Quality Control Board that this city and other cities must meet. And we are anticipating, at least from a, and I'm looking at Mr. Klotzel as I say this, so you can correct me, Mr. Klotzel, if I go astray. We are looking over a period of years at an expenditure of about $1.5 million. First of all, this would be for design of an infiltration basin as one of the mechanisms to help the city meet its stormwater requirement permit conditions. But over the course of many, many years, that commitment to meet stormwater regulations, and it's in the capital improvement, the draft capital improvement plan we looked at, it's in excess of $30 million for the city's compliance over a period of time. That is a very significant amount, and I just want to make sure, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for letting me make an extensive comment. I just want to make sure that the public understands that it's not something that is city-initiated, but it is being required of the city to do. And we have a long way to go. This is just to file an application for some grant monies, and we have a long way to go in discussion, but I want to make sure there's some context here. Thank you.
And we whine, is that the right word? We complain
I'll complain.
about how that has grown from some simple thing to this mass.
Well, it's okay to meet, I understand meeting TMD, well, now I'm lapsing into total maximum daily loads and other requirements from the stormwater permit, but the fact of the matter is it's an extraordinarily large amount of compliance monies that this city will have, and its citizens and its taxpayers will have to spend to meet state requirements that are non-funded.
Exactly. Question, comment.
Mr. Moore?
It's so funny. We've come a long way. And for us now to keep to make it where you can almost drink the water. I remember trying to go out into the water at Lagoon and Point Magoo. It had signs saying, don't walk in the water in the mud because DDT could be collected from the farms and other places. We've come a long way in correcting all that. It's just hard to understand that we have to almost get to the point of drinking now. So, anyway.
Okay. My question had to do with item E, and that's with the alcohol beverage license for the new Sprouts Market. My question was, what did the old store do with their permit? So this is a new one, not a transfer.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I have the answer to that. Do you? Oh, good.
Yeah, the previous permit is going to be surrendered. It's one of the conditions of approval.
Good, okay. So it didn't get passed on to somebody else in the same...
Right, so the net increase, there won't be a net increase of permits.
Perfect. That's what I needed. Any other questions on the consent calendar?
Move the approval of the consent
Oh, we
calendar.
already have
Oh,
it.
it already has, okay. With
We
the
have a
exception-
motion and a second, and with Mr. Tremblay abstaining from item B. So with that, please vote. And that does pass for a yes with Mr. Kildee absent. Okay, let's get back to City Council. The next item is the Camarillo Ranch Foundation Annual Report. Do we have a staff member that's going to introduce it, or do we just turn it over to...
Madam Mayor, annually at this time, the Camarillo Ranch Foundation gives the City Council an annual report. And to present that report this evening will be Interim CEO Martin Daly.
Thank you for allowing us the time here. Charles Devlin, who is the president of the board, is ill tonight, so I'm standing in his stead. We also have two board members here with us, David Schlungen, who is the vice president of the board, and Mike Drews, who's the local CPA and the treasurer of the foundation. You've received our annual report in writing. I just addressed a few things on that, and then certainly take any questions that the council may have. The first page, the highlight on that one to me is the fact that we have an excess of 120 volunteers out at the ranch, and what is being accomplished out there on a daily basis could not be done without those volunteers. Page 2 on our report, the members of the board of directors, the only highlight in that is that we have two new officers, both David and Mike, who are here tonight. David is the vice president because the former vice president, Michelle, went to work for the city and had to resign. And I resigned from the board to take the CEO position, and Mike Drews took over as the treasurer of that. The financials, Mike can address if there's any specific questions on there. We are still in a very healthy position on that. The annual audit was completed by Nelson Deal Evans, LLP, the city's accounting firm that does their audit. Likewise, by the courtesy of the city, also does our audit every year. And that 2016 audit found no deficiencies in internal controls that they considered material. And we also did, regarding financials, we did a reserve study, which had not been done before by the ranch. That's been completed, and we used the same firm that did the city's reserve studies. We had to go back a couple times and make some minor adjustments in there. They forgot the wood floors.
It's a big thing.
And then the board also, that past year review, approved a revised investment policy and did a shortened form. Likewise, again, we reviewed the city's investment policy, and as applicable to a nonprofit, we took a lot of that information and went forward with that. So we do have that new investment policy. Our events continue to grow. We are still a very large wedding venue, but we are continuing to turn that trend to be more city focused and doing friend events and not so much fun events. One of those that's actually, we're going into our third year, but it continues to grow, is what we call the Throwback Thursday, and those are the food trucks. And from here on out, it's hard to count what we have there, but we're trying to expand that as far as entertainment, the movies for children, things like that, entertainment. But during the summer months, starting from here on out, we have any place from 1,500 to 2,000 people come out to those food trucks on those Thursday nights. So that's become a very popular family event. In that particular venue, I walk around most of the time just talking to people and passing out our event calendars and that. And I asked the people, have they been there before? And most of the time, in my hour or so that I'm out there, most of the people are just finding out about the ranch. So that has done, with a different age generation, has done a tremendous job on that. Adolfo, the ones we have in there, Adolfo's birthday, Santa Nights, the gala, the bridal showcase, those, we're just continuing to improve on those and grow those. The school tours that we started way back when for the third graders, we've enhanced the grant for the Title I schools. We pay for the transportation for the Title I schools throughout the county to get here. Otherwise, that would be something they probably could not do. That grant used to be $300, and now we're paying $400 and $450 for those transportations. And I believe last year the docents did upwards of 2,200 students came through on those school tours. Tales of the Ranch was not being well attended, so this year we're taking it from 2 to 1. We're trying to improve that. We're going to do some entertainment. You want to mark your calendars for that. Again, it's July, and we're going to have the White Horses. It's going to be the history about the White Horses.
What day in July?
I believe it's July 19th.
19th.
I'll stand corrected. I don't have that right in front of me. Again, the majority other activities are the site rentals. We're trying to fill in a lot during the non-Saturdays, which big wedding venues were booked through mid-2018 for Saturday wedding events. But we're trying to fill in more corporate activities during the week using the barn and that, and with the elimination of the gift shop, that conference room that we're using now for all our meetings to save wear and tear on the house. We're also looking at that to expand that into possible a rental venue for retreats and things like that for local businesses and other nonprofits, and to share that with those. So still a lot going on. The bus tours, we're hoping to improve on those. We had 2 bus tours yesterday. One out of Manhattan Beach, and I think the other one was out of San Diego. We're not positive.
Ooh, wow.
But the membership is continuing to grow, and at that, I'll take any questions that council may have.
Great, thank you. Questions?
No, I just have a couple of compliments.
So do I.
Okay.
I have some questions.
Well, why don't you go
You
the
don't
questions
have to-
first?
You all just are doing comments. And I'm going back to, we've gotten letters, I guess that's our theme tonight, regarding the financials. So I took probably more time than normally I look at them, and I add it all up in my head and I go through it all, but I said, okay, I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to go through it. And it seems to me that there's some issues with your actuals versus your budgeting. And so I started to look at it and realize, I think part of the problem you have is, and I know you have a new treasurer, and perhaps, well, that's okay. I think you need to restructure some of this, because I think you've got accounts all over the place. It's making it difficult to see that picture. So I actually, because when you looked at the financials, it threw a different picture. So when I put down and I started to group things into categories, it started to make much better sense to me. And I think that would be helpful as you go forward to look at perhaps getting things a little bit more in sync. I don't know if you've had the chance to look at it, but that was one of my comments. I had a few other things that popped out in that process. Do you have inventory in your gift shop?
It's gone.
So you have no gift shop anymore?
Not yet.
No, we have very minor inventory left.
But you sold some, so I saw the income.
Yeah, we had sales on that. And of course, it was open part of the year too, as well.
Okay.
But we do have some items left, and we plan on using those at the Fiesta for giveaways.
Okay, so your inventory has been
We're not,
transferred out of the gift shop?
but also in that same regard, Madam Mayor, is that we're not going to totally eliminate, because we haven't given up the idea of the gift shop, but we may be trying, and this is way out of my area, but technology, having a gift shop, and we use some of the pieces that we have, the collateral pieces we have in there, to sell online. So that is something that we're going to be considering. We had a task force look at the gift shop. So it's, the physical part is closed, but we haven't given the idea up yet.
Okay, so you do have something that so you do in a sense, is my mic on? My lights are off, so I can't tell if my mic's on. So you do have some inventory there that should be accounted for somewhere then, if it's any value to it. The other thing that has come up over the years are your security deposits. And in reading the financials, they're refundable, if I'm not mistaken. So once they make the deposit, they're not refundable.
That's correct.
Okay, so then what are the security deposits that are on the books?
Oh, I'm sorry, security deposits. Security deposits I was thinking of the deposits for the contracts. Security deposits are refundable.
Okay, so after the event happens, that can be refunded.
Those are usually in denominations of $1,000, security deposits.
So you have $47,104 on the books?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All as security deposit. And the deposit to hold the venue are not refundable, and those are recognized as income when you receive them then?
Correct.
Okay. That's a question that's come up over the years. Let me see what else I found. I think the main thing that I would, here's
Page
another
are
one.
you on? It'd help the rest of us to know where you're going.
Are you on the P&L?
I am. For instance, and I'm talking mostly about your chart of accounts and your financials. You say interest Vanguard. Do you have a Vanguard account?
We did.
So in this current year, you did closed it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then that would make sense. And your merchant fees, the question I had on that one was why your merchant fees were so high if you're not running your gift shop. What are your gala then? Is that where the fees are
No,
generated?
the merchant fees are primarily for the wedding venues, booking of the facilities. Most of those payments are made by credit card.
Oh.
And the higher volume we have, the higher the fees are.
Sure. So it's actually the wedding venue that's doing it, huh? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
They all get their mileage so they can have their honeymoon. So I guess the one comment, and I will say it in answer to some of these letters, is that, I think you could make your financials a little bit more user-friendly, and it would just be a matter of getting things in sync so that you've got them by program, so to speak. But I think it looks to me like you're accounting for things. There was one question had to do with some loss of funds, and I don't know if that was ever resolved. The answer I had heard was that it had to do with converting from one QuickBooks to another. I don't know if that's the finding of that, yeah.
Drews, I'm the treasurer of the board.
Just pull that mic right up. There you
I'm
go.
Michael Drews, I'm treasurer of the board. We had, in November of last year, we had a transferring from one accounting system to another, and during that process, there was a statement was released that was on their accrual basis, and so we had an accounts receivable value that was on that one financial statement, and that was corrected in the next month, but there's no, the receivables are not, when we book an event, the receivable is not really a receivable because the participant, the person that's booking the venue, is not obligated to pay that if they cancel, and therefore, but that was a 1-month process that we inadvertently booked that. But that was in reference to what the letter you're referring to mentioned. That's what's going on there.
So the reason that you don't have receivables is you're only recognizing the deposit, because that's the only thing you're guaranteed of receiving.
We're recognizing the cash that's being received as revenue.
Right, which represents their holding deposit, I'm going to call it.
Correct.
The rest
half of the contract is paid up front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Non-refundable, so you're recognizing it when you receive it.
Exactly.
And the other, you're not guaranteed to receive it, therefore. How much notice do they have to give you before they give up that venue?
Well, I'll defer that to you, but.
The last payment is due 90 days before the event.
So theoretically, you could rent it again then, okay.
Yeah, for weddings, it's difficult. We did.
Well, those quick shotgun ones, you never know.
We have one.
But they don't allow shotguns on the property?
Okay, so then basically, while you're on the accrual basis, you really don't have receivables because of that, the way that's set up. So hopefully that answers the question for the individual out there. And I guess the lesson is to be careful when we release statements, yeah. Lesson learned.
Another part of the problem we ran into at all at the same timing, is the perfect storm, so to speak. We've been trying to get a cash flow projection system going so we can project what our cash flow is going to be. Our expenses are pretty level, but our income's up and down. So in that concept, thinking of switching to QuickBooks, we were putting these contracts in, and then we had to go back and take them all out because it really
Threw everything
threw it
else
out.
off.
So
I gotcha.
The intent was to get a 18 to 2-year projection of what our cash flow is going to be since we have the contracts out. But we're going to have to just do that on an Excel spreadsheet.
Gotcha. Okay. And then on the AP side, you really you're paying your bills every month, so you really shouldn't be carrying much in the way of a payable. Weekly. Okay. So hopefully, and maybe you all read the letter, but hopefully that answers some of the questions that have been raised. I still say that maybe you can look at it and see if you can just rearrange things so that it flows better on your financial statements, more in tune to how it shows on your internal financial statements matching your issued financial statements, and I think it would be easier to
That's in the process.
budget too.
This year's budget that will be coming up and going to the Finance Committee this Monday, whenever we're meeting. We're eliminating a lot of these line items here are technically sub-accounts. So we're eliminating those. We will keep them as sub-accounts, but when the financial statements are presented to the board and to the public, a lot of these won't be. So instead of 8-9 pages,
You'll collapse it down.
have it down like 2 or 3 pages to make it more sense.
And to make sure the public understands you're not hiding anything, but in the QuickBooks system, you can have accounts and you can have sub-accounts and you can run reports collapsed or expanded.
Absolutely.
So the information's there if you need it. It's just that you condense it. Another reason to move things around so that when you condense those sub-accounts, they don't get all lost.
So hopefully this year's budget will take care of that.
Wonderful. Okay, that's all I had in questions. Now comments?
I think you're doing a really good job.
I think they've done a fantastic job.
And I think the board did a very good thing in hiring Mr. Daly as their interim director. Not director, what are you?
Now can I?
His second career, are you finished? Is this your third career?
Third or fourth career.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do after this one.
Are you done?
I'm done now.
Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, this is what has changed, because we're on the board and we see the changes going on, and they're all positive. When I've had 2 people call me to try to get something going out there at the barn, too bad, it's taken. So we are busy, and if you're talking about 90 days before, you're going to have somebody who wants it. That's just what's been happening. People last minute call and want to do stuff, and so I have a lot of confidence that they'll be filling up those openings.
In light of the previous conversation, I think we need to clarify a statement you made, Mr. Morgan. You said we're on the board. We are city council appointed liaisons to their board. So
Excuse me.
there's not a problem.
As a
there.
affiliate of the board that do make comments that are helpful, hopefully, and I think that we've watched what's been going on and we agree with what you have. So we, even as the affiliate, have done a lot of good things, and I think you guys have done a great job. So thank you.
Mr. Trimley.
I think you meant your ex officio, right?
Yes.
In terms of members of the board, technically? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I want to thank Mrs. McDonald for her comments relative to the recategorization of the, and I guess by program, that's probably the best way to describe it, in terms of your internals versus your issued financials. But principally, I just wanted to say two things. Number one, I wanted to compliment you and the directors and the officers on the foundation and all of the volunteers, the docents and everyone. It is a labor of love, and I really appreciate everyone's efforts out there, and they show, because it is that's how the ranch has operated, and it's wonderful to see. And whether it's 100 versus 120, I know that it's well, there were two numbers in your report, but I'm not going to get hung up on it. I know that it's in excess of 100 people, and you need all those folks to make things go, and I really, really deeply appreciate their time. Number two, just a shout out for Throwback Thursday nights. That's a great program. And I do see a lot of families out there, and I see a lot of young families that otherwise wouldn't be exposed to the ranch property. So, Mr. Daly, I think your comments are spot on. And so, if nothing else, this is a little advertisement for the Throwback Thursdays, because they're a lot of fun. So, if you're listening to this, please attend.
Absolutely. Good reason not to cook.
That's right.
Thanks for the lobster truck. Love
And
that.
I do want to thank all of you. I know it's a lot of hard work, but it is a labor of love for all of you who enjoy that. And we thoroughly love the ranch and want to make sure it's successful as well. I personally am happy to hear that you're looking to bring it more to the city and not just weddings from wherever, that it really is a venue and something that belongs to the city and the citizens, and so that they can use it and appreciate it, I think is a really good thing, especially the kids. And I had a question the other day, and we'll talk about advertisement, having to do with what you were advertising as your day camp. And the way I read it was kids, they could drop their kids off, but that's not what it is. It's organizations who can come and participate, correct?
That is correct. We had it, last year was the first year we had it. We had 2 days, and now we have 6 days scheduled. And the YMCA is taking advantage of it. The Boys and Girls has taken advantage of it, and I'm not sure who else is on that, but it was open for those, and it is very similar to what we're doing with the third grade, but it's not limited to that. It's the educational standpoint and exposure to the ranch. Going back to Councilman Trembley's remark about whoever's watching this, if I may, we have a declining docent population. So if anyone is watching that, and we are one of the new hires and new positions we'll be making will be for a volunteer coordinator, but we are looking for docents. They are an aging population, not as fast as I am, but they are. So we have some issues there, and so we're addressing that, and we are trying to get a lot of younger people to come in and. Because that is the legacy that Mr. Camarillo has left us. Sure. And one other thing I told Councilman Craven just before the deal, we will probably be receiving as a permanent loan to the ranch Adolfo Camarillo's original Surrey.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Oh, how
So
fun.
we're hoping to, I don't know where we're going to put it, but we're going to take it.
Yeah, you don't want to pass that one up. Since you're doing your advertisement for docents, just tell them kind of what it involves and how much time do they have to commit to doing it.
The actual time is open, but I think it's something like 18 hours a quarter.
So it's not a lot.
It's minimal, but they're primarily, they have their own training program. We just completed a first draft of a brand new volunteer policy manual, which would be, all volunteers will be going under that. But they are trained by existing docents for all aspects of the history of the home primarily, but also the grounds. And then
They wear period costumes.
That's fun.
They wear period costumes, and again, as applicable, as we start more of a outreach and within the community, we're hoping to take those docents in the period costumes with us to various other organizations and locations to tell them about the history of the ranch. And
We have a speakers bureau.
Well, I wish you slow down on my wife. Now I heard that many a quarter. She puts a whole lot more than that. Plus, I think I got half a closet full of these outfits, these old outfits.
But the main thing is, if someone doesn't have the time but really wants to do it, it isn't a full-time job. It's something they could do just a little bit, and perhaps as time allows them, spend more time out there.
and the school tours are a separate group of docents.
Yep.
Very good. All right, any other
Move to
questions?
receive and file.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. And that passes unanimously with Mr. Kildee absent. And with that, we thank you for coming and giving us your report. Oh, we're okay. We're at 6 o'clock.
Madam Mayor, we do have an attendance for this next item, the Executive Director for Studio Channel Islands, and I think it would be appropriate to try to get this item done
Okay.
before we move into study
So
session.
then we will take the next item under City Council, which is Studio Channel Islands Arts Center funding for the 2017 Arts Alive Festival.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On July 22nd, 2015, the City Council approved a grant of up to $30,000 to SciArt for support of programs that are free and open to the public. Following Council's action, City staff worked with SciArt to develop a list of programs and expenses for that year. And when all the expenses were tallied, it came to $29,650. On November 2nd, 2016, for this current fiscal year, the City Council considered SciArt's 2016-17 funding request, which asked for a $29,750 grant to support the same programs as the previous year. After thoughtful discussion, the Council decided to provide $5,000 for SciArt's holiday market, which they completed and for which they have been paid. But then the Council decided to defer making a decision on the remainder of SciArt's funding request until after the Council adopted a new policy for the funding of community events, which you have done. On March 8th, 2017, like I said, you adopted that policy, which we discussed this evening. The primary tenets of that policy, of course, is that the City Council may provide funding or in-kind services to community, cultural, and entertainment events that benefit the residents of Camarillo. And the intent, of course, with that policy is to fund those events that have previously been approved by the Council and had appeared in the budget. Funded events must be open to the public and provided free of charge for a nominal fee. Eligible organizations must be a current Camarillo-based nonprofit organization or governmental entity with primary offices in Camarillo that provide services that directly serve or benefit Camarillo residents. With its what we're calling the second tranche of funding for their current year request, SciArt is seeking $24,750 in community events funding for its 2017 Arts Alive Festival. This is a free-to-the-public arts festival, which will take place over the Memorial Day weekend and include live music, visual and performing arts, and interactive experiences for all ages. The festival will feature over 100 local and California artists. It is anticipated to attract approximately 1,000 people to Old Town Camarillo. SciArt is a current 501c3 nonprofit organization with its corporate office at 2222 Ventura Road at the former Primeros Elementary School, which is in the heart of Old Town. If funded as requested, this $24,750 request, when combined with the $5,000 previously given SciArt for their 2016 holiday market, will total $29,750 for this current fiscal year, 2016-17. SciArt will be submitting a formal application, as will all the other event organizations, and for 2017-18 event funding under the new policy, as will be required for all funding recipients starting this coming fiscal year. In providing materials for council consideration, I did work with Studio Channel Islands on this. We did not feel that that having them submit a formal application was we had some timing considerations with that, and so we did the best we could to answer the basic questions about their nonprofit status, what the funds would be used for, what portion of funds would be, what parts of the event would be paid by the city versus with their own funds, and we provided you that information. Peter Tyus is in the audience and is available to ask questions about the event and funding requested.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions? No questions? I have a question. The purpose of this is then not to sell their art, but so that isn't part of it. It's just an open day where people can come in and see the studio, and I'm asking the staff that question.
Yeah.
And visit the studio, and they have music and entertainment. So it's not a venue the purpose is not to sell like an art show.
Let me bring Peter Tyus up to the podium to answer that question.
I've been to it.
The purpose is to engage people in seeing the work that's there as a series of free-to-access exhibitions. The work is available to purchase if people wish to, but the primary purpose is to expose the community to a wide range of art forms.
Will, question? Because I've been to it. And they sell art in those booths.
Some do.
Yeah, a lot do. Selling the photos and the sculptures and all kinds of things in the booths that aren't part of the artists that are part of your, but those that come in sell their artwork out in booths.
Yes.
Now, do you get a portion of that artwork? I mean, sales?
No.
None?
No. There's a small administration fee for them to have the booth.
Right.
It's $150, but whatever they sell, they keep.
Okay.
So this is where I'm having a little, if it's an event that's open to the public, it's a festival, it's not drawing a huge crowd, 1,000 people for $25,000 isn't a huge crowd, it's a lot of money. I could justify it if you're building it and it takes a while to get going and it's going to be a larger event. But where I'm having a little bit of a problem is we're helping to fund an event so that they can sell their art, and that's where I'm having a little issue reconciling this piece of it.
There are 4 main strands of activity during the day. So there's the live stage, which will have 4 to 5 different acts performing for free each day. And then there will be the children's activities, interactive programs, which will be in the children's corner, again, free to access activities. Okay. There will be about 20 artists who will be doing free to participate in workshops in their studios throughout the day. You can go in for an hour and do watercolor or pastels and that kind of stuff. So those are all free to access. Within the booths, there will be 2 types of booths. There are the people who are coming to show their work for sale, and there are people who are coming to engage the audience in learning about their organization. So we would have, an example might be, I've been talking with Save Our Kids Music about them coming and sharing information about who they are and how people can participate in that program. Or we're talking to the different museums and other organizations so people can learn about, say, the Rubicon Theatre and going up and being involved in their activities. So there are 2 types of things in the booths. There is the stuff that you can look at, which is under no obligation to purchase. Mm-hmm. And then there is the information about how you can become an active member in our cultural community.
Are you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
In the end of this, you're going to give us a breakdown of like most of them do. You have to tell us what your budget is and what it's being used for. Have you done that yet with staff?
In here.
Yeah, Mr. Morgan, that is on large page CC 4C7.
Yeah.
That breakdown is there for you.
So a lot of it goes to advertisement, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you advertise this?
There are paid adverts in newspapers up and down the 101, so from Ventura down to Thousand Oaks. There is an online campaign with digital adverts being put through Facebook and through VC Star run a targeted campaign on people's websites. There's a radio portion, and then there's a direct, there's printed materials to give out, so flyers.
Okay. And this, how many years have you been doing this?
This is the 4th year, but as you're probably aware, there's been a lot of change within the organisation, so this event hasn't been delivered by the same team on any 2 subsequent years. And I do believe that this programme has got significant legs to grow as a festival, to become a very important part of our community's cultural calendar. And I have received many letters from people wishing to attend, people who are hoping that the event will happen, Old Town residents who value coming to a festival that they can walk to from their home, and from families that are looking forward to having free activities for their children on that busy weekend.
And it's all 3 days?
On the 2 days, on the Saturday and the Sunday. So we hope to
Saturday,
have
not Monday.
1,000 people coming on each of those 2 days.
Okay, so 2,000.
Our highest in a single day, I think, was 750 in recent time. I think we might have had 1,000 on our first go out, but that would have been 3 years ago.
Well, I'll come out and watch
Any
it.
comments, but I don't have any questions.
Any other questions before we go to comments?
Just one, if I can, Ms. Trias. So in looking at page C7, I've got to get the nomenclature correct. It's in terms of the budget. It looks like for this particular item, the city grant would comprise $24,750 of the amount needed, and the contribution, as it will, which would be, I think, hard dollars plus in-kind from Studio Channel Islands, would be $19,982. After that, were there, I don't see any specific items for revenue, for example, for food booths or things like that. Is there anything, was that, first of all, is there that type of opportunity? And number two, if not, was there a discussion relative to that in terms of fundraising and creating some revenue coming out of the event?
So we're hoping to raise around $3,000 from revenue from that exact source. And that money would be spent on delivering activities which are not being funded by the city grant. So we're hoping to raise monies from booth sales and from food vendors, and we'll be spending that money on supporting the educational programs that take place during the days.
Just a follow-up question. What types of food vendors are you having come in? Or are we talking about food trucks, or are we talking about other organizations which are having a food booth?
We're talking about trucks. We spoke with some vendors to see about how it would work with other restaurateurs on the boulevard coming in and working with us on that day. And for them, there is a lot of risk that we're not quite sure we can convince them of at this stage. So the food trucks is the containable way to provide a service on the day.
It's tough now with the health permits and so forth that you need, unless it's something you do all the time. And that's what makes it difficult for other organizations.
Right. No, I get that from a Ventura County EHD standpoint. It's hard. It's hard to go through that process. But I'm thinking about this in terms of the growing, I don't want to say pains, the growing effort that it's taking to move this Arts Alive festival forward, and hopefully, in the future, have it become greater. But I'm just thinking out loud about the opportunities for revenue that Studio Channel Islands could achieve for an event like this. And that's really what my question was focused on, as to whether or not. So there's rental of booths, that's one item. And number two, revenue from food trucks if you have folks there, and you would be taking a percentage of that. Is that reflected in the budget on C7? If it is, my bad, I missed it.
I think C7 are all expenses, aren't they?
Yeah, and they look like it.
So I was asked that.
Yeah, and C3 are all expenses too, Madam Mayor.
He doesn't have a
That was the reason I asked that question.
I was just trying to sled my way through it, that's all.
don't have those papers in front of me.
Question?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Are you through,
Mr.
Tony?
Tremblay, are you finished?
Yes, but hopefully at some point I can hear an answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Morgan?
You talked about entertainment, and you have expenses for entertainment. Have you thought about using some people that are free entertainment that come there to help? I can show you several that would be there to give you music that would be good without paying a whole lot of money out of your pocket.
We have a mix of people who are offering their services for free and people that we're paying. The reason why we're paying is because we want to have, each year we want to show something that the audience hasn't seen before. Mm-hmm. So we will mine the local community for acts. And I think we've had the same jazz band playing for the past, since the event began. What we don't want to do is to continually show the same people performing a fairly limited repertoire. So we do want to have them there, but we want to have a mix, and that's why we need to bring in acts from outside of the area who would charge.
We'll also bring more people in as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, any other questions? If not, comments? Mrs. Craven?
I have a comment. I would like to see this grow. I think it is certainly worth investing in at the beginning, at least, to make sure that I used to see things on the boulevard as economic development things. I guess we don't do that anymore because we don't have any more redevelopment. But to me, this is bringing people to Boulevard. That's what we had hoped that area, which is pretty much in the center of the Boulevard, would do. It would bring lots of people down, introduce them to the Boulevard, and I'm still hoping this will do that. I think it's worth investing in and seeing what happens. And I wish them a lot of luck at growing this event, and I wish them a lot of luck at finding in the future more ways to bring in money from the things. As they get more of an audience, more people in attendance, they'll have more opportunity to raise more money.
Down this way, Mr. Morgan?
Oh, I'm one of those that says if we can make things grow down there and make things get better, because I've been with that boulevard since it started, and we, as a redevelopment agency, and that's one of the things that most redevelopment areas do. They come and invest in these kind of activities to make things grow and also benefit your local entrepreneurs down there in the boulevard. And now we're going to have an ice cream shack, ice cream parlor down there and some other things. It's starting to become a real area to draw. And I think that I'd like to keep supporting you right now until but I would like to see some of from next year, some of the revenues and expenditures.
Mr. Tremblay.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts. Thanks, Madam Mayor. First of all, Mr. Tice, thank you for being here. First of all, just a couple of thoughts in terms of looking at this. The amount of the documentation that the council has in front of it right now is not, because of the timing issue, is not as, I'll just say, robust as it would otherwise be under the new policy that council has adopted.
That's correct.
And I juxtapose that, it's led to a couple of my questions relative to revenue, but I have to juxtapose that against the fact that the festival is almost upon us. And I really would like to see some further discussion by Studio Channel Islands relative to revenues. We've received some written correspondence which is not in favor of this expenditure, and one of the, aside from a documentation standpoint, one of the comments is an evaluation of whether Studio Channel Islands, quote unquote, needs money from the city. And the way I respond to that is I from my standpoint, I'd like to reframe that conversation, because reframing it, the whole criteria here, and under the policy that the council just passed, the real criteria is whether the event poses or provides a direct benefit to Camarillo residents for a community or cultural event. And as an arts festival, I'm convinced that it does. And I believe that there are the benefits there. I also think the letter writer made mention of concerns about Old Town and shutting out Old Town restaurants and parking issues. I see it differently. I see this as highlighting an exposure for Old Town, and I think it's positive from an economic standpoint, or at least potentially positive from an economic standpoint. There was another comment made about it being a gift of public funds, and as a lawyer, I always prick up my ears relative to that phrase, because I don't believe that that is the case. It's not a gift of public funds legally, because if this council determines that it's for a public purpose, it's not a gift. And Mr. Pierre can always interrupt me if he thinks I've gone astray. I see this as seed money for this festival. I would like to see, no, let me rephrase that. I am hopeful that this festival succeeds. I intend to support the motion, and I look forward to, hopefully, it's a success this year, and hopefully Studio Channel Islands plans this event for next year, and I look forward to seeing some more robust documentation coming back our way relative to this policy. And we realize it's a timing issue. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Could I follow up on what he just said? When we started the Fiesta on the Boulevard, we had 100 booths, maybe a little less. Now we have 200, and it grows. And so one of the things of council, I think, is have to watch the future, make sure you're progressing and getting bigger and better. Now we're serving 30 to 35,000 people, and so I hope yours can grow that big, because it'll benefit the whole area. People go to the restaurants locally. Even during the Fiesta, the restaurants are full. They do not want us to disappear, because they can get out of the sun, they can eat, and they can talk, and so on. And so the restaurants are benefit if there's enough people. That's why I hope you keep growing, and I'll be out there to watch and see how things are going. Thanks.
Madam Mayor, may I make one more comment? I also appreciate the fact that this is not a situation where the city is expending funds so that artists can go out and sell their wares. This is far broader than that. And Mr. Tyus, I appreciate your explaining that, and I think it's clear relative to the written material, from the written materials that we've been provided in terms of the categories of activities. And if we have a situation where local folks can learn how their children, for example, can benefit from from Save Our Kids Music, and can directly benefit from specifically from that type. But I know there are all kinds of art forms and music as well. That's a good thing, and I think that's worthy of support. Thanks for letting me supplement my comments.
Certainly. Well, I would agree that it's as long as it's an event that's open to the public, it's showcasing the art. I'm not one for saying it has to be bigger and better, because I don't want to see us closing down Ventura Boulevard like we do personally with the Fiesta, because that hurts merchants. But I think it can grow, and that to me is what I would like to give the money this year. Let's see what we can do, because it is a little, for 2,000 people, this is a lot of money. The other thing I was a little concerned about is that it was just basically an art show so they could sell their wares. That we shouldn't be doing. But if we're providing our public with something like this, it's a great thing to do on Memorial Day weekend. It's educational for the kids, entertaining. To me, that's part of what we do, and that is a public benefit. So
It's not available other places.
That's right, and I think it's something we should be proud of. So as long as we do it for that reasons, that we are entertaining and educating our public, then to me, I can justify doing it. So good luck to you on that. I can support this, and let's see if we can and get a few more people in there. It doesn't have to be 30,000, but more of the community, and the more you do it, the more outreach, and it just becomes, if it's always going to be on Memorial Day weekend, is that where you're going to set it, so that they know that that's one of the things they do. Mr. Trimley, the hospice is chili cook-off is on Labor Day.
Labor Day weekend.
So we got a Memorial Day and a Labor Day then, so people can stay home.
They don't conflict.
They don't conflict, but people can stay in Camarillo and have something fun to do. So with that, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve a $24,750 appropriation for Studio Channel Islands 2017 Arts Alive Festival program.
Second, with a comment. One of the things we found is that you have the trucks and the other things like that bring in, and you don't have to bring in the I call them wet bars. I mean, we wash things in the sinks. Some years are going to have to do that. That costs about $500 every time you bring one of those in. And so if there's ways of bringing in people that have their own makeup already, their own sinks and stuff like that, it's much less expensive.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. And that does pass with 4 yes, Mr. Kildee absent. So good luck to you. And that is coming up. Why don't you come back up and since a little free advertising, it might save us a little money. Give all the dates and the times.
So the event starts on Saturday the 27th at 10 in the morning with the live stages cranking up some music around midday. It runs through till 5 o'clock. On the Sunday it's starting a little bit later at 11 and running through till 4 p.m.
And that's at Studio Channel Islands address?
In the back?
22 Ventura Boulevard.
In the parking lot in the back, right? Yes.
All right. Great, thank you. So with that, we do have study sessions, so I'm assuming we will now recess to our study sessions and be back at 7:30. Oh, I'm sorry, do we have a closed session?
Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we will make note that all council members are present with the exception of Mr. Kildee, who had a family commitment this evening that he had to attend and was excused earlier. The next item on our agenda is the section called presentations, and we have a couple tonight. But before we start them, I would just like to make one announcement to remind people that the month of May is Older Americans Month. And I didn't mean to look at you.
But you did.
She usually jokes about it, so it was okay I said that. Now, and since I looked at you, it's to remind us how important they are and how they richly contribute to our community. So we want to thank our senior citizens, as we call them, older Americans now, and also the notice talks about the fact that to age is different than it used to be. We're younger now as we get older, and we're all getting older up here. That we age differently and we stay active, and we need as a community to make sure we thank our all of our citizens, but particularly those who not only are getting older but have more wisdom. How's that? Have I made up with you?
Didn't bother me.
So with that, make sure you say thank you and give a senior citizen a hug today.
You want me to stand out there?
There you go.
You're not going to go there?
No, I'm going to go there. I'll stop. Okay. Well, now that we've talked about our older citizens, I'd like to call up 4 of our younger citizens. And we read in the newspaper about members of the Cosmos track program, and these are the Gremlins. And we have 4 boys with us who are going to come tell you all about their story of what they did that has made them famous. So I'm assuming they're here, and I'm not going to give away any. I'm going to let them tell the story. But if you want to come up and bring your fathers with you, if they're here, or your mother, or whoever brought you tonight, how's that? And I say fathers because when you hear this story, you'll understand why. All right, come on up. Oh, I love it. Very good. Yes, I was going to let you all tell the story, so the dad's going to tell it rather than the kids. I'll leave that up to you. And will you introduce everyone? You can all come up. Come on up and get behind him there. This is one of those stories that is just so exciting. It's always exciting when our kids do well and do something exciting, but this one has a really nice story to it, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks. First, I'll let the boys say their own names. This is my son here.
Vince.
Say your last name.
Pisa. Ben. Middleton. Andrew Jones. Joey Bueno.
All right, so the Camarillo Cosmos is a youth track and field organization that has been part of Camarillo's community for over 40 years. Mm-hmm. Some of the original founders, Bev Yeager, Dana Thomas, Paul Rader, and Don and Jean Rowland, recall the early days when there were only a few kids on the team. Over the years, the program has grown to serve over 300 boys and girls every year and competes in the Ventura County Youth Track and Field Conference, says president of the Cosmos, Jay Locker. Earlier this year, head coach John Rust recognized that a team of 8-year-old boys had a chance at breaking the oldest record in the record book, one that was set back when the Cosmos was just forming. The record, 68.04 in the 4x100 relay, was set in 1978, the second year of the club by Neil Hafer, Mark Mathis, Clint Freeland, and Matt Pisa when they were 8 years old. Brett Winslow, current U8 boys coach, made an extra effort to help the team in their quest to break the record. 2 Saturdays ago, competing in Oxnard, the team of Andrew Jones, Joey Bueno, Ben Middleton, and Vincent Pisa broke the long-standing record. Their time was 67:08. They have several more chances to run together, so they might even drop the record further. One of the new record setters, Vince Pisa, is the son of previous record holder Matt Pisa. It was such an old record, almost 40 years. It is special that the record was around for so long, and even more special to me that my son Vince is on the team that finally broke it. Mark Mathis, 1978 record holder, joked about there being a tailwind, which is funny because it's a circle. So, and Neil Hafer mentioned that he was sad to see it go, but happy that it went to my son. Vince said, "I ran extra fast because I wanted to break my dad's record, and he said he will take the team to frozen yogurt, and we can get candy on it if we broke the record." I'll be happy to get the kids a treat. Actually, we're going right now tonight, and I'm happy to pass along the record. And I'm happy that an organization like the Cosmos exists in a town like Camarillo. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Don't go away. We have a few things for you. Well, congratulations to all of you, and it really is more special to know that you broke your dad's record. Pretty cool. Maybe someday when you have kids, can they run much faster than these guys do? Maybe. You'll never know. But it sounds like you did a great job. It sounds like you had fun as well. So, would you like to say something? Anybody? Well, we congratulate you, and thanks to all that run the program. It's a great program and does so much for so many of our youth. And it's we thank them, and we recognize all of the students and children that participate. But today, these are our special ones. We have certificates for you, and we also have a City of Camarillo pin. So I'm going to set the mic down, and we're going to pass these out. Dad get one of those? So again, congratulations. Good luck to you on the rest of your season, and thanks for coming to visit us. And have fun at Yogurt. We're going to Yogurt? All right.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, can we say one thing before they leave?
Certainly.
We had in the old days, we had a team of 4 runners like you guys that set the state record for 880 relay and 440 relay at Camarillo High School. I hope you guys can get there. Go for it.
Did you get your picture of them?
Those guys were all under 10 flat. One was 9.7 on Schrader. Unbelievable how fast. I was 10-1, thought I was fast. I was a junior, thank goodness.
There we go. It's pretty special. Give him a second to get out. We have one more presentation tonight, and it's a follow-up or a culmination. Oh, I guess it's not really a culmination because they still have a lot of work to do. But the Startup Weekend of Ventura County winners. So we have a presentation tonight. And if you'll just state your name for the record, and we all know you, but just for the record.
My name is Martin Shan. I represent St. John's Hospital on the Camarillo Chamber Board. And I thought I'll give you a quick update on the second event that we have held, number 2, version 2.0. And then we'll introduce the winners, and you can hear them present their winning ideas.
Wonderful.
So from 1.0 to 2.0, we did 2 changes. One is that we try to get as many universities around us engaged with this program as possible. And we ended up recruiting about 6 universities. And the idea is to get the educated young minds to participate in the event because they are more likely to be the entrepreneurs of the future. And then the other change that we made from 1.0 was we went to the big end users, 3 big ag companies, Limonera, Bonipac, and Ryder affiliated companies, and the 3 hospitals, 2 St. John's and VCMC, and encourage them to bring their own challenges to the event for entrepreneurs to solve. And I think that worked out well. I think it's reflective in the number of ideas that went ahead and formed teams on Friday. The first year, we had 7 teams formed, and this last event, we had 14 teams formed. The idea was really good. One of the most surprising outcomes of the event was the winner of healthcare, Haley, was an 8th grader. Wow. Beats out people twice or 3 times her age. Mm-hmm. And the judge, it wasn't because she's cute. I mean, she's only cute.
It helps.
My guidance to the judges, the 12 CEOs, is let's make sure that the idea really has value and has the possibility of going forward to become a business, a real business. Wow. So they judge according to that. So without any delay, I will have Haley present to you her idea.
Great, welcome. You're going to have to pull that mic. Yeah, way down there.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay.
Do you know how to work the PowerPoint?
I think so. All right, like this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll just get started then. 15 million Americans, 1 in every 13 children have food allergies, costing $25 billion per year. And it's getting worse. Sometimes even when people avoid their triggers, they still don't get better. Or worse yet, they get life-threatening reactions. Mm-hmm. Parents are desperate for tools that will help their kids be better and be safe. But even everyday activities can be hard, like finding restaurants you can eat at. And the apps that exist now aren't really much more than digital journals. At most, they compare results in one person's journal. But to really understand how allergies work, we have to look at the journals of all 15 million people with food allergies. My name is Haley Jeffers, and I'm an 8th grader with food allergies. I'd like to introduce Sprightly. Using the power of crowdsourcing and big data, Sprightly targets the parents of children with food allergies who want better understanding, diagnosis, prevention, treatment, and safety for their kids. Let me walk you through a Sprightly experience. When you register, you'll create your profile on Sprightly. Then you'll enter the food that you've eaten for every meal, either with a camera, a label scanner, or a drop-down menu. Sprightly will compare the ingredients against your profile and give you warnings of possible allergens before you eat. You'll also rate how bad your symptoms are, and the list of symptoms is customizable but based on your profile in the beginning. Sprightly will take that data and create a customizable daily and long-term dashboard and a graph showing your trends, sort of like a Fitbit dashboard. And once you've entered enough data, Sprightly can start to analyze that data even more. For example, Sprightly might find that you had more symptoms on days you had potatoes. No one has ever told you you were allergic to them. So Sprightly alerts you to consult with your doctor about a possible potato allergy. And once enough users have entered their data, Sprightly can comb through the combined big data to give you even more predictive, personalized recommendations. For example, it might find that people with similar profiles to you also had 80% chance of having a potato allergy and a 90% chance of having a reaction to Domino's pizza, even though all the ingredients seem okay. So you might want to skip the Domino's. Combing this big data can also lead to new and unknown discoveries, especially if it can be paired with other databases, such as genetic databases from 23andMe or other companies. For example, we know that people with allergies to latex are more likely to have allergies to bananas, avocados, kiwis, and chestnuts. Sprightly could discover other cross-reactivities like these that we don't know yet, or find correlations for effective medications and treatments, or find predictors for life-threatening reactions. Sprightly will also have a number of unique features, including a social media community, sort of like a Facebook, a giving back platform similar to Kickstarter or GoFundMe where people can donate to specific allergy organizations, research, or advocacy, and a searchable listing of allergy-friendly restaurants, customizable to your geolocation and your profile. We did a market survey on Facebook, and remarkably, over 40% entered their email because they wanted to beta test Sprightly, even before we had a prototype. One person wrote, "My daughter has a peanut allergy. I think this is a great idea." The true power of Sprightly lies in its crowdsourcing of knowledge. When we look at the data from all of Sprightly's users, we're able to find new patterns that can lead to new discoveries. This can be used to help the individual, but also to advance the scientific knowledge about allergies. How far would you go to keep your kids safe? Thank you.
Wow, very good.
Very good. Congratulations. Do we have any questions from Council? I can see you on Shark Tank. Shark Tank and get some money. I bet you would.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
That night we heard all the people make their presentations the first night. I knew this one was going to get close because she makes a great presentation. Very good.
That's a great idea, too. Absolutely.
Yeah, just a couple of comments and a couple of kudos, Haley. First of all, aside from being a spelling bee champion, the fact that you find the way to, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, come up with this idea to me is extraordinary. And I really salute you and your family on all of your accomplishments. And like Councilman Morgan, I was lucky enough to be there on Friday evening to listen to all of the presentations. I only got to listen to 6 of them on Sunday evening before I had to go to another commitment, but I heard yours on Sunday evening. And the progression from Friday night to Sunday evening after you had spent an entire weekend together with your team working on this product, and product application was really extraordinary. So kudos and congratulations to you. And then secondly, I really want to congratulate Martin Shum and Gary Cushing for this program. I wasn't able to go to version 1.0. I was able to go to version 2.0 this year, and I know that the city has been supportive of this financially. This program. I will simply say that this is a terrific program, and I think well worth the investment of funds. And certainly, I want to commend you for the investment of time by both of you and by the Camarillo Chamber of Commerce. This is exactly the kind of program that benefits our community and society as a whole. So I really thought the program was great. If I could think of a product, I'd be up there pitching one too. And maybe I will, but maybe when you get to 3.0, but who knows? I don't think they have any lawyer products, but anyway. So kudos both to you, Haley, and kudos to the program. And the fact that you're able to get 6 universities, as well as chief executive officers on both the ag and the healthcare side, is really telling. And we have an enormous amount of talent here in Camarillo and in Ventura County, and it shows. So thanks for the opportunity to make those comments.
Haley, what do you plan to do next? Obviously, you have to finish school.
Yeah. Or maybe even do it during school.
Okay.
So, next, we're hoping to start building the database of all the information that we'll need, maybe going through those aggregated recipe sites and like web scraping it for all those ingredients that are in those recipes, just to start building our database for what sort of ingredients goes into these foods, and after that we'll just go from there.
Go from there, okay. Well, if you ever want to go to Shark Tank, I'll be there with you, because I think that would be a good way to fund this. And I want to congratulate you and your parents. You should be very, very proud. You have a beautiful young lady that she might be working on your retirement fund here too, right? So congratulations.
Congratulations, Haley.
Our second winning team is in agriculture, and we have them here as well. So
wonderful.
I'd like to present them. Field Force.
And can you give your name for the record, just because
Yes.
we tape all of this?
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Francisco Casarubias, and my colleague in the back is Julio Orozco.
He doesn't want to come up with you? Come on.
Come up? Yeah.
If you're going to be a star, you have to get used to this.
Teamwork. So tonight, I would like to talk to you about Field Force. And Field Force is a company that aims at creating a comprehensive and economical solution to challenges of water evaporation, avian intrusion, and contamination of agricultural reservoirs. In California, Lake Tahoe is the most studied body of water. Covering a surface area of 192 square miles, it is estimated that 117 billion gallons of water are lost due to evaporation. That is enough water to lower the depth of the lake by 3 feet, and enough water to account for $82 million of money lost. Locally, Lake Casitas, Lake Peru, and Lake Cachuma, all three combined lose about 200 billion gallons of water per year. It's a lot of water that we can be using for something else. The market offers 3 main solutions. The first solution are these aquacaps. They're these round suspended floating modules. However, these are not efficient because, as you can see from the picture, they only offer a partial protection to the water. They leave spaces between modules, and they have susceptible spaces for contamination, avian invasion, and evaporation. And they also require anchoring systems to lock them in place, which are a lot of work, and then they could also be expensive. The second option are these tarps or membranes. Now, these tarps and membranes are very time-consuming because they require, again, structures to lock them in place. And also, when it rains, all the water that gets accumulated on top of them will drag them to the bottom or drag them onto the reservoir. And unfortunately, that water cannot be collected into the reservoir, so that's water that needs to be wasted. It's also expensive to maintain them. The third option are these black spheres, also known as shade balls, and you guys probably saw them in LA. These shade balls offer a semi-complete protection. However, because they're spheres, there's still gaps between them, and they also allow evaporation and contamination. The other thing is they are prone to be flown away from the reservoirs because they're so light. And because they're hollow, when they're under the sun, they will rotate and they will heat up the reservoir, which is just not preventing evaporation. And at the same time, when it rotates, it will take all the feces, particles, and contaminants into the reservoir. And our proposition, Forcefield wants to develop a versatile cover, a cover made out of hexagonal shape tiles, coated with silicone that is aerodynamic, with low cost, affordable, and low environmentally impact materials. We are considering cork or plastic, like high-density polyethylene or polyethylene. Cork is being considered because it's biodegradable, readily available, and it's a thermal insulator. Plastics are being considered because they're recyclable, and that can be pressure molded into the shape that we desire. The coating will consist of a silicone mixture that will provide UV protection, fungal protection. It will be biocompatible since silicone is used largely in medical implants, and it will also extend the lifespan of the device. The geometry itself will prevent the tiles from flying away since there's low surface area available. Also, they will allow water to be retained by the reservoir, and the water will not sink the tiles. Most importantly, because there's no change in orientation when these are heated under the sun, they will not transfer the heat into the reservoir or any contaminants. The market, so these are the competitors. Forcefield will compete or will offer a competitive alternative to the other devices. We are proposing to cover a 1 square meter for the price of $102. This is well within the price range of the shade balls, which are $123. And although the competitors' materials are cheaper, these prices do not offer the price of the structures needed to lock them in place, like the anchors or the metal structures to keep them in place. We will also offer the same efficiency or better, 95%, and they will have the same lifespan. In terms of target markets, we are targeting agricultural, city, and county water reservoirs. And as the device evolves, we would like to include solar panels for maximum usage of the area. And then in the future, integrate sensors in selected cells to collect data such as water hardness, pH, chlorine levels, and other parameters. And that's all I have for today.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Any questions? So tell us, what are you going to do next? So you've got an idea.
We are working on trying to devise some prototypes.
Okay.
We're trying to consider different geometries and different materials, trying to bring down the price and just experiment and, yeah.
Very good, very good. And tell us about where you're going to school and things like that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm actually 30 years old. I graduated from UC Davis. I'm a chemical engineer, and I work in the silicone field.
Oh, okay.
I develop silicone formulations for medical implants in Carpinteria.
Very
So
good.
I'm local.
So you have a little insight into that then, okay?
Yes, yes.
Taking
So
what
I
you learned.
do a little design, and my coworker as well. We're actually coworkers. He's a process engineer and a chemist as well. So we're working together on this.
It goes back to that us getting old. You look young, but I guess you're really not.
I'll take the compliment.
You take the compliment. Yeah, get them as long as you can. Well, congratulations to you. It sounds like a great idea. And City of Camarillo's got some reservoirs out there, so you never know. We may have your product floating someday on our reservoirs.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Trimley?
Well, yeah, and Madam Mayor, I think it's really, speaking as a UC Davis Aggie, but way back in the Stone Age, back in 1978, and I was political science, sorry, so I wouldn't have been much help to you. Where this is really exciting, as far as I'm concerned, from an application standpoint, is not only with respect to municipal reservoirs, but there are scores and scores of agricultural reservoirs in this state. And representing water clients, I think they're very excited about the ability of this to prevent evaporative processes, and which occur. And you are absolutely spot on in terms of the water evaporative losses particularly from M&I reservoirs. But again, where it's very exciting, I think, personally, is with respect to ag reservoirs all around this state. And we are, in this area, I'll preach it, we are still in a drought in our specific geographic area, notwithstanding last year's rains elsewhere in the state. We still in Ventura and Santa Barbara counties, and you've all heard it before. And that's we're still there, and we have to practice good water conservation, and this goes hat in hand with those water conservation efforts. So I really salute you on a great idea, and I wish you a whole lot of success. And again, kudos to Startup Weekend for providing this. I got to listen to your presentation on Friday night. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it on Sunday night, but it really looks good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Morgan?
I hope you guys are ready to travel, because you have a lot of reservoirs in California. We have to have them because to have water. But you have Arizona and a lot of others, same thing, big lakes. But that's not the only thing. There's arid parts of the world that need this so bad. It could be China, it could be Saudi Arabia, a lot of those that store water, and they have nothing to cover the evaporation. And so you may have a real career going and hiring a lot of people to be working around the world. Keep going.
Another Shark Tank. I don't know why I'm got the Shark Tank thing tonight, but it's that funding. It's always the money, right? Find us the money. So, great idea, and we congratulate you. And thanks for participating. It was a great weekend.
Best wishes in developing your business, and I wish you a lot of success.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was exciting presentations we had tonight. So with that, we will move on to public comment. Okay. So we have a fairly good stack tonight. For those of you who haven't been here before, and I put my glasses on, I'm looking around the room, I recognize most of you. But you have 3 minutes. The clock counts down. I can see it. You can see it. When it gets down to 1 minute, it turns yellow and lets you know a minute to wrap up. We ask to withhold on clapping or booing, whatever, so that everybody feels comfortable talking. And did I miss any of the rules? I think that's it. So with that, we will start. I will I'll give you the first name and then whoever's on deck. So we'll start with Miranda Patton, and then Jill Ingram will be next.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Miranda Patton, as you know, and I am here tonight. I have been a volunteer on the Citizens Transportation Advisory Committee and Social Services Transportation Advisory Committee through VCTC since 2009. And this past year, I was elected to the chair position. And in serving in that capacity, I will be speaking this Friday at the commission meeting, and I felt it was appropriate for me to give Camarillo, since that's the city that I represent, a heads up that I will be speaking at the meeting, and it will be with regard to an update on the status of the annual unmet transit needs findings. Each year, it's an annual process, so each year there's a process that the county agency goes through to solicit feedback on our transit services in the county, and during that process, people are allowed to submit testimony and provide comments, and it's collected into a report and summarized by the staff and presented to the VCTC CTAC, Social Services TAC committee, and then it goes on to a recommendation to the commission for approval. And this year, we've gone through that process, and we have had the opportunity as a committee to review it and are amenable with the findings of the of staff and the recommendations, and are looking to support staff's recommendations at the upcoming meeting. And we just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce ourselves as volunteers. So it won't be just myself. There will also be another, or maybe a couple other CTAC volunteers that will be participating from other cities. And just to show our face and to let you know that we're there and we're committed to this group and helping the service, helping, and helping to make decisions on behalf of our community and be a reflection of that community. And I think it's appropriate that you mentioned earlier this evening that it was Older Citizens Awareness Month, because a lot of the services that are provided through the city and the county agencies are for senior citizens, but they're also for disabled people, youth, and low income. So they're very valuable services, and I can speak to that in that it's been eye-opening for me to see how people really rely on the services that are provided through the county, the social services aspect of it, and how it really impacts their lives and their ability to move throughout the county. And I'm appreciative of the opportunity to support that and to be a volunteer with the city. And I wanted to, again, just come and thank you and inform you.
Great. Well, we should thank you for serving our community for a number of years now. So it's
been wonderful. And, you know, I've seen quite a bit, and it's very eye-opening, and I will continue to do it as long as they want me to be there and you want me to be there. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So Sue Ingram next? Or Jill, I'm sorry. I know it's Sue Ingram, sorry. She's not here, but Jill is.
Hi, everybody.
And you do need to give your name for the record. I forgot that part.
I need to get like my ergonomics going.
Okay.
And not talk too loudly.
You're fine.
Greetings, everybody. I am Jill Ingram, and I came here for two reasons. A follow-up, and it was an obscure item, and it was an obscure time. I don't know if you remember, Mike, you let me to make some comments at 5 o'clock, which was unusual. It was a while back with a lot of things going on, and what it was in regard to was a place which was named, a place of business, which was named Shave It, which is located close to the 24-Hour Fitness. And what really disturbed me is, you know, there's an indigent guy on the ground right in between the Shave It and the fitness, which there but for the grace of God go I. The issue was two very young girls I realized why they were so young. They were like high school interns learning, and they shouldn't have been working so late. It's pitch black and closing at 9:30, and I was concerned for their safety. So I was walking in those days because I had car trouble, and I ran into an officer named Robert somebody, I forget his last name, over by Vaughn's, and mentioned this. I said, you know, I can't tell you what to do, but I wish you would go check it out for security. And he said he may or may not. The next day, the girl said he did not. So I said, all right. So, but that night, one of the girls' fathers was coming. I said, good, I want to talk to your father. And so I waited till he came, and he was upset too. He's a teacher, he's busy, and you know, teachers is like beyond 40 hours. He had no free time. So luckily, I'm very familiar with labor relations and state law from, you know, my years with, well, we won't say where, but I'm very familiar with it. And so bottom line is, it's changed the name. It's no longer called Shave It. It's now called the Ice Bar. And for reasons that they have more than just ice, they're featuring more items. And then I said, oh, come on, I know you got sued for the rock band. It was a punk band song in the 80s, Shave It, Shave It, Shave It. And he goes, no, not really. We got sued for unlawful business practices. And he was the manager, and he remembered me from before Halloween because they had that pop-up store with Halloween. I gave him this little ghost nightlight because it had colors, and I said, oh, wow, look, colors. You know, I was just having too much fun. So that's how I got to know everybody. And the bottom line is, I think, without sounding, I don't know the right word for it, I like to protect people And sometimes what it is the layers of government are variable. I grew up in a place which was not a corporation. No offense, it was New York City. It was a foundation. It was a huge city. And I've also worked for the county health district for a while long ago. So I know a little bit of enough, you know, just to get myself in trouble. And that's it. I just wanted you to know.
Good. Well,
that it
thank
was
you.
resolved.
Thank you for looking out for your community.
Yeah, and welcome to the new people and I brought you cookies.
Oh my! Well, staff will like that. That's right. Thank you. Next, we have Phil Birdsell and then Phil Hamilton.
Just so you know, on her personally, it's different.
Elvis.
Now you got to pull that thing right up there. There you go.
Long time no see, Phil.
This is, I will be singing tonight. But I guess I'm kind of like just sharing my song. I've been in Camarillo since 1989, and I love Camarillo. I moved to Camarillo because it was so much like my hometown back in Illinois. I grew up on the farm. And anyway, I live now in Country Lane. And I've been there, we were one of the last houses that went in. My wife and I moved in 1998. And when we moved in, it was just, you know, we loved the fact that it was, there were fields there, and the hospital was right there, and now it's kind of developed up, and with the high school coming in and the library, and it's really nice. And I'm thinking, like, why would you want to put a desalinization plant right in the middle of all that? And so that's why I'm here, because it upsets me to think that would be happening. There seems like there's more open territory someplace else that would be more beneficial and allow the city, the people in the city, to still have the benefits of desalinization, but then it wouldn't hurt property values, and it just seems like the wrong place to put it. And that's why I'm here tonight. So,
great.
Do I have time to sing a song?
Sure. Go ahead, go for it.
Song I wrote for Camarillo. Camarillo. Camarillo is a place I love to be. Camarillo, a place where I would share these songs with thee. Camarillo, how I love your fields of green, and the vista from your hilltops so serene. The people are so nice. Camarillo, you're my paradise, a place where I could love and learn and to play and sing. Thank you very much.
Very good.
I just want to keep it that way.
Very good. Okay, Phil, can you follow that? Oh, you can sing too?
I also don't dance. Phil Hamilton, I don't have too much to say tonight, but a month ago, I submitted a list of questions, and I just kind of wanted the status of those, and and I also wanted to comment that I know that you probably keep Lucy pretty busy with just a regular job, so I understand this is adjunct to that, so I'm patient with them, but it's been a month, and I just kind of wonder what the status of those questions is, if you happen to know.
Okay.
So if you do, you may respond. Otherwise, if
Okay.
you can get back to me, that would be great.
Okay. So why don't we do this, because there's a list here for a stack for the desalter, so we'll keep a track of the questions, and we'll do it all at the end. How's that?
Okay, I submitted those in writing at
Okay.
at one of my...
So
Thank you.
I'll put that on my list to find answers out for tonight. Thank you very much. The next person has been here a few times, and every time you come, Rita, now that you've been here a couple of times, we're on first name basis because I can never say your last name. It's beautiful, but I can't say it. And following Rita will be Hal Campbell.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rita Zhalibina, and I'm here just to follow up our discussion that we started back 2 meetings ago. And just to let you know that last time we heard that the city is cautiously optimistic about potential of finding any other spots away from our residences. We just want to say that we are actively waiting to hear what those sites might be, and we are hoping the city can make the right decision and in collaboration efforts with us and put these industrial projects away as far as possible from our residences. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
My name is Hal Campbell, and I'm one of the old farts here. In April, when we heard about the desalination plant, Jan, you said you were open to coming to our meetings, and
Right.
it hasn't happened.
I agree.
What does it take for me to find out when you're going to make that presentation?
And that's on my list. I was going to ask staff. Staff was doing some work before we had the meeting because they wanted to have more details to give you. I will ask that question and see if we've got a date for you all.
I also understand that Mr. Fox was supposed to look at, quote, alternate sites without specifying what the alternate sites were. Are we any bit closer to defining those sites?
And I know staff is working on that. I think that's part of what they want to do before we meet, is to have the full picture to present. So they are working on it. I can promise you that. So
Again,
I hate to be invasive, but
when can we have a definitive date?
okay. I'll see if I can get that before we're done tonight, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gavin Jones, and then Shannon Surf. Good.
Good evening. My name is Gavin Jones. I also live at Country Lane. I wanted to share with you an excerpt, a short one. I'll give you the entire thing if you wish, from the Environmental Health News in October 2011. Chlorine accidents take a big human toll. Over the past 10 years, there have been hundreds of accidents involving chlorine nationwide, injuring thousands. This is a short excerpt. Beverly Martinez was sitting at her desk in the office in California's scrap metal recycling plant when she felt a large blast rattle her window. One of her co-workers, Leonardo Morales Zavala, rushed through the door, struggling to breathe. "Run," he yelled. He had just cut into one of a one-ton tank of recycling in the yard, about a football field away, and outpoured a noxious substance. He did not know what it was. The workers ran as fast as they could towards the street, but they couldn't escape the giant greenish-yellow cloud. A couple of dozen people, co-workers and customers, dropped to the ground gasping for air. Martinez fell too. I couldn't get up. I felt like I was being strangled. I thought I was going to die. I will never see my granddaughter grow up, Martinez said. Going further on, it goes on to say, in June that afternoon in 2010, 23 people were taken to the hospital, 6 of which were kept for treatment. 2 of them were put on life support. Over the last 10 years, chlorine has been involved in hundreds of accidents nationwide, injuring thousands of workers and townspeople and killing some, according to federal databases. It is only second to carbon monoxide when it comes to percentages of accidents that cause injuries, according to the newest federal data. 2015, Spokane, Washington, 8 injured in the industrial park chlorine gas leak from leaving critical and serious condition. Follow-up to that story on 17th of August 2015, one of those workers dies. As late as 2016, Atchison, Kansas, 100 people were treated after chlorine gas leak of sodium hypochlorite and sulfuric acid. These 2 chemicals will be kept on site. 5,900 gallons of sodium hypochlorite and 13,000 gallons of sulfuric acid. When they're combined, they produce chlorine gas, which I've already elaborated to. In Hawaii, there was a leak. No alarm was sounded. If our hospital is to be evacuated, where are they going to be evacuated to? This would be a Herculean effort involving Ventura County EMS as well as possible state agencies. It would involve every single hospital in the county and possible adjacent counties. And this doesn't even mention Alma Vista Nursing Home, as well as all of our homes. Prefer that if you can, please move this desalinization to a safer location, preferably upwind or downwind from us. And thank you for your time, and thank you for serving the city of Camarillo. We know at the end of the day that you all have our best wishes at heart. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So that, I believe, is all the speaker sheets I have regarding...
Oh, one more.
Oh, I did? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Shallon Surf, and I'm not very good at public speaking, so bear with me. We live in Country Lane as well. We bought the house 2 years ago, and my home is directly on the other side of the wall. It would be the closest to the plant, probably, of any of the homes. I'm raising 2 small children. I have to leave in 3 minutes to go get my daughter from church. But it really, I know it wasn't done to upset us, and it looked like a good site, but in thinking about it, I really hope that you take our wishes into consideration. I have asthma. My daughter has asthma. You know, I would consider moving if the plant is put in there. And it's going to take away from our home values. So, as he said, I know you have our best wishes in mind, and I'm hoping and praying that you guys can find an alternate site. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now that completes our speaker sheets having to do with the desalter. So let me quickly, and you don't need to go into great detail, Mr. Fox, but do we have any idea when we'll be having a meeting? Can you just give us a guess?
Well, we certainly, no, I can't, and I'll tell you why. But we do understand that obviously the community wants answers, and the soonest we can give them answers, we will. But I think everybody's agreed that finding an alternative site is the #1 goal. That's the direction you've given to staff. And to find an alternative site, we're not in control of that destiny. We have to work with other agencies to work out an arrangement, strike a deal basically, to consider another site. And that's what we've been working on. And until we have an agreement with another agency, we don't have a definitive outcome to report. And I think if we have a meeting, that would be important information that this neighborhood would like to know is, have we found an alternative site? We have been working with the school board, the Oxnard Union High School board staff, to see if we can use the east end of their site. We've also talked to property owners and looked at other locations that don't look as likely that we would have an option, but the school district is willing to consider the optional site of moving to the very east end of their property. I believe they even have a meeting tonight to discuss that. Obviously, they will need direction from their board, and they may come back with other information they want from us, but we're in the throes of trying to work a deal that they can come to terms with. We hope, that's why earlier I said we're cautiously optimistic that the staff seems supportive of our proposal, and hopefully we can make that come to fruition. If we hear good news tomorrow, then we can start arranging a meeting fairly soon. More likely what we'll hear is some questions back as they're trying to come to terms with the idea of a new location, and it may take a little while to work through that. But as soon as we have a definitive outcome, then we can arrange a meeting. Our hope is it's sometime later this month.
Later in May?
Correct. Okay. And then to also answer Mr. Hamilton, we'll check to see. I suspect the reason he hasn't received a response is we're still getting answers to some of the questions, but if we can maybe give him a partial response, at least on what we do know answers to, we'll try and get that out to him right away.
Okay. Okay. You heard that, Mr. Fox? Okay. Let's see, we talked about the other site, getting the questions answered, sending the meeting, so we're still working on it, and I assume you don't like having meetings just to have a meeting, so you obviously want something to talk about, so it's better that we wait. Last meeting, we had a gentleman who presented a lot of information having to do with reusing the, on the corner, the old LA workout site, and I would like to, when you are looking at it, to hear from staff, and not right now, but I would like that to be in the queue of at least giving us an update on a feasibility of that site.
Yes.
Okay. And anything from council? Okay. Thank you all for coming on that issue. We have 2 speakers, and this has to do with the mixed-use possible project on Arneal. And Richard Barossa and Pat, I think with the same last name.
Hi. Hi, I'm Richard Barroso, and thank you for having me and listening to this about the mixed-use project. Possible, like you said. I just have two questions today. One is about petitions. I kind of looked up on the site, didn't see any what a valid petition would look like in the city of Camarillo. So that's my first question, is if you could offer any advice. I know probably name, address, phone numbers and stuff and such like that. But I only saw things on like for rent increases and stuff like that, what the petition would look like. And I don't think that's the right idea I'm going for. And I don't want to run into the same problem SOAR ran into. So if my information's on that card, if I can just get some information sent over in regards to what makes a valid petition. Okay. And then the second issue is it was mentioned in this proposal that the developers would come around and kind of take like a neighbor survey and talk to the neighboring body. And I still haven't, I live at 1017 Centennial Avenue, which is, I can throw a baseball and hit Kmart from there. So they haven't come around and talked to us or anything. And it was kind of mentioned that you guys would kind of get on their case a little bit next time and say, hey, you know, that was part of the deal. You got to do that. So any information on that, that would be great. And I know last time you also mentioned about kind of an information list that you would make and kind of send up updates. So I'd like to be added to that as well.
Okay.
And that's it.
That we can do. And I'm going to answer the question on timing. I'm assuming that they're working on it, but they're a long ways out from bringing anything back to us, and that's why they haven't been out to the neighborhood. Is that a good guess?
Yes, that's correct. We have not received an application from the proposed developer. City staff has reached out to the developer and reiterated again that they need to go out and talk to the residents in the community there. So, and they said they would. So, and the last we talked to them was last week.
Okay, yeah, and it was mentioned it takes about 18 months for an application to kind of go through. But yeah, we just kind of want to get out ahead of it all. So, you know, sometimes you wait to the last minute, then you do the survey and it's already too late. So just kind of want to avoid that problem.
Thank you, and we'll get you the information you requested. Uh-huh. And your name for the record, you are Pat, right?
You reset my clock there, Shooter. Okay, my name is Patricia Barroso. I am a homeowner at 1017 Centennial Avenue, Camarillo. Like my son said, my property is within 500 feet. Currently, there is an entrance of a current multi-dwelling apartment complex at the end of Fiesta, but we're within 500 feet. Only within approximately 600 feet of the proposed complex being considered on our nail. These are my concerns. Reduction in property value for myself and other homeowners due to land use change. I paid more than $500,000 in the end of 2015 for my home. It's in a lovely neighborhood, and I'm concerned that the property value will go down. I moved there because it's in city center. It's located near shopping, banks, good schools. Apartment dwellings are known to reduce property values. There are already 2 large apartment complexes to the east and west of the tract of my property that create the following issues. Parking of cars of non-residents across from my home, of tenants, visitors of the current apartments near my home. We have property there right across, and constantly it is full. It's unsettling not to know who is coming and going in your neighborhood. Current traffic congestion will increase with proposed 90-unit complex with possibility of 180 cars plus. I'm thinking 2 cars per unit, let alone the increased noise it could cause. The effect on air quality due to increased traffic volume from additional housing. The impact on local school class sizes. Possible rise in crime when you get more congestion of people in a small area. There are already 2 to 3 multi-dwelling complexes in close proximity to the proposed building planned that are causing negative impact on neighborhood. Additional housing will further impact area residents. I would ask the City Council to think seriously of the ill effects a complex such as the proposed on our nail and reconsider any acceptance of an application in Camarillo City Center. It would make sense that multi-dwelling units be approved near to outer areas of the city where resultant congestion and negative impact would have minimal effect on current established neighborhoods. We enjoy where we live, we like Camarillo, and we hope that you will seriously think about what change could be made to the already existing areas that have apartments. I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And we'll put both your names on the list so that you'll hear about it whenever we do, because it's a ways out. Thank you. And last, we have Matt Lormer.
Yep, last. Good evening, City Council. I have a couple things. We see the desalination plant. You got a lot of people showing up every night. The last couple City Council meetings. The notification's 300 feet. You need to change it to 1 mile. You really need to. Hiding projects from the public, not informing the public to try to push through projects is wrong. It should stop. The next thing I want to talk about is crime. Again, we talked about rape revised. 2014, there were 9. 2015, 12. 2016, 17. That's a 42% increase. 2014, we've had violent crime go up 73, 113, and 124. Last time I spoke, I know Ms. Craven there was saying, well, you know, it's a couple things, it's not that bad. It is bad. And when you come here and talk to public servants and they don't listen, and they don't want to take public ideas, you're saying that you have no solutions. You're public figures. You're supposed to listen to the public and have new ideas. When it doesn't work, nodding your head up and down when the police chief comes up and not taking more solutions, you get the same results. It's unacceptable. You know another thing unacceptable is? You said it was Older American Month. Yeah, I agree. Your city next door, City of Oxnard, I want to thank them. You know why? They're doing something that you haven't done 7 years. Build a new senior center. It's time to stop talking about it. Put it on the agenda and take care of the people who've been paying taxes. Some of you have been here over 80 years. You should take care of the seniors. We should build it. Enough is enough. If you don't get along with the Park Service, get over it. It's time to move on. It's trying to take care of our seniors. Number 3, I don't know why, but I have a suspicion. In-N-Out Burger, the lot you're teaming to buy, Caltrans closed it. The parking is out of control. You should see that area. Speculation is it's for the convention center. We don't know, but we're highly suspicious. I know it's closed, but the issue is very concerning. You know, when I come here, and I come here with different ideas and solutions, you can attack me, you can ignore the problem, but the idea, I come here as a citizen, and people have a right to come here. And if you don't like it, you shouldn't be in office. You should resign and move on. But the idea that a citizen can't come here and question government officials on why the same things keep happening in this community, like crime and other things, and you don't have solutions, if you don't have them, maybe it's time to take some from the community. Maybe it's time to find some solutions. The police department needs more help in that area, and I really think you should pay attention to that. Thank you very much, and I hope you'll think about some of these issues. And I hope you have a good night.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Mr. Fox, you want to give a little quick thing on the In-N-Out Burger so the rumors doesn't get going here?
Yes, Your Honor. So years ago, when the Carmen Interchange improvements were constructed, there were a variety of different land right-of-way items that had to be addressed to create the land for the new interchange. There was land that the city owned that ultimately was to go to Caltrans, which is where the new ramps are, well, the newer ramps are at Granada. There's the land that Caltrans owned, which is where the old ramps used to be, which is the parking area next to the In-N-Out parking lot. And there was some private land that In-N-Out was located on a different parcel and then moved over to where they are today. So there were all these different little pieces of land that had to be reconciled. Some to go to Caltrans, some to go to the city, and so on. And that's a complicated process to work through with Caltrans. And we've been working with their right-of-way folks to try and ultimately trade the land to the agencies that were ultimately going to control the land. The area next so it looks like dirt. It's basically a all-weather kind of gravel, DG dirt surface that people have been parking on for years next to the paved parking lot at In-N-Out Burger. That dirt, I'll call it the dirt area, is owned by Caltrans. Again, that was where their old ramps used to be. We had certainly hoped that that land would eventually transfer to the city in a much shorter period of time, but unfortunately with Caltrans it's taking longer. So we were able to work out an arrangement where there was a permit issued that that area could be kept open to be used temporarily as parking until we ultimately controlled the land. They've had some changes in staff and at Caltrans, and somebody decided that the permit was the wrong permit to issue, and so they closed the gate so that the In-N-Out wouldn't have access to the land. We have met and talked to their top staff at Caltrans to see if they can get that gate opened up fairly quickly to get immediate access again. We have a meeting potentially this Friday to discuss that. In the meantime, we're also trying to get the new permitting that they're requiring in place to address that. And then ultimately, the land is intended to eventually transfer to the city. We will own it, and at that time, the gate will be open and accessible to In-N-Out Burger. So it's merely a matter of trying to work with Caltrans to regain access to that property.
Right. And it will be just general public parking.
It'll just be as it always has been, except that In-N-Out Burger has offered to pave the land. Even though it's not their, wouldn't be their land, they've offered to pave it to make it a better surface for people to park on.
Okay. Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaker sheets. So unless there's someone else in the audience who would like to address the council, we will move on to the rest of our agenda. Okay, seeing no one come forward, we go back to informational items, I believe. Start with the city manager.
In terms of the senior center, we have our liaison committee, or currently just the mayor, working with PVRPD's liaison committee to fashion an RFP in which to gather information, important information from the community about recreational facilities needs, which would include those for seniors. It's a very good and cooperative effort, and I think one that's going to provide a good basis on which to make a rational decision about how much of a facility this community wants to support and how much the city would be putting into a facility and for new programs for seniors and for others who need recreational facilities in town. So we're just not sitting idly by, waiting for time to pass until everybody eventually dies off or goes away or forgets about it. No, that's not happening. We are fully engaged in this process, and we have some very good and happy partners with PVRPD right now.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I think we have a meeting next week, I think.
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's it for you. Anything else from staff down there? Some of you haven't said a word all night. No?
They're smiling.
That's good.
They just want to go home. City Attorney?
I have no comments tonight.
Okay, thank you. Then we turn to council. Let's start with Vice Mayor Craven tonight.
I don't have much to report. I attended two RDP 21 meetings. I had a special meeting, so for 2 Tuesday mornings, I was in Ventura at those meetings, and I attended a legislative committee meeting. I also attended a ribbon cutting for Lori, can't read my own writing, Lori Singer Behavioral Processes. Anyway, she does a lot for families that have children who have a hard time getting along. And a lot of those children came to the open house and talked about how their lives were filled with confusion and different types of behavior, and Lori did wonders for them personally and for their family life. And these were, some of the children were younger and some were, say, 12 and up. And it was one of the best open houses I've been, so thank you for having me go. And at the end, I was amazed by, it was on a Thursday evening, as all ribbon cuttings are. I was amazed at how many people said, "Oh, gotta go! I gotta hit the food trucks at the at the ranch." So that's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that. I think I had VCOG meeting. I had something. Mr. Morgan.
First of all, I went to the AWA meeting, which is the board meeting in Ventura, which, Association of Water Agencies meeting, and mainly that was a business meeting, and looking at events coming up this next coming year, which I will keep you guys apprised of, because you might want to go to these. When you have an event at the Reagan Library and you have another one they're trying to set up in one of the other cities. I'm hoping that we have our hotel done one of these days. We can take a place at the Reagan Library, because I think they will do that in talking to them. So, secondly, I went to the legislature meeting with Charlotte, and you will receive something from that report from that meeting next meeting, because there's a lot of bills and legislation we went through. APCB, of course, the board, the Air Quality Board, Air Pollution Control Board. I read at the library. You heard about that. We had a lot of fun reading to those children. Harrison's 85th anniversary. You can see now where the Harrison's second line, the younger ones are starting to come into their own and take some leadership roles from what was shown and who spoke and so on. The Law Day dinner, we had a Law Day dinner, all of us went to, and I think that one was very successful. We had a good time. And I think the officers, they don't get this in any other city but ours. And so I think we still should continue doing this. It's a tribute to them. Prayer luncheon with John Fraser. We went to the Salvation Army prayer luncheon, and a lot of city members, elected officials were there. It was a good turnout. Beck Initiative investiture at the college went off well. A lot of people came. I mean, presence of other universities from everywhere. I don't mean just California, but a lot of other places too. And her sister was a riot. She was a speaker to talk about her sister, and it was so funny. People just laughed their heads off about the things that she said. But that was a very successful event, and making sure that we stay in good grace with them, and them in good grace with us. Lastly, I went to the Channel Islands, the Channel Islands Division of the League of Cities in Morro Bay. Again, it was okay. We had one speaker that was an assemblyman from that area. It happened to be a Republican, and he was talking about all the problems they're going through with trying to put bills together for housing and so on, and also getting people learning different occupations, because we are running short in some occupations, especially things like construction and so on. But that was a good little meeting, and he mentioned that. Great weather up there. If you've never had a chance to go when you leave, come back through Los Osos and look at it. It's a little town, a little small town, but it's quaint and it's kind of nice. I don't think I can stay there all the time, but it's a good place to vacation and go to. And that's it, Your Honor.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Craven, you have one more thing?
Yes, it was on a different list. Yesterday, we received an email that a longtime city employee, Richard Aceves, had died, and he was out in streets, yes. And I was wondering if we could close in his memory.
Absolutely, we will do that. That's it,
Tony.
No,
Mr. Tremblay.
Thanks, Mrs. Craven. Very appropriate. Three things. One, we've already talked about the reading session that Mrs. Craven and I were fortunate enough to do at Camarillo Library, and that was a lot of fun. Two specific meetings to report on. One is a meeting of the Liaison Committee with Pleasant Valley School District, and in attendance at that meeting was the school district superintendent, Dr. Ramsey, with two other administrators, and also trustees Bob Rust and Ron Speakman. We had a very good conversation on various issues and various challenges that both agencies face. I think I'm happy to say we've got that conversation started, and we look forward to it continuing. I think it's probably making sure that we have items to talk about probably every 6 months or so, but that is now initiated, and I'm really happy to have participated in that liaison committee with Mayor McDonald. Second is the street, and that was on May 1st. The second was a Streets and Transportation Committee meeting on May 2. with Councilman Kildee, and there were several items at that meeting that were discussed, including the issue of speed humps, or bumps? Humps. Thank you. I'm learning the difference. On Dunnigan Avenue, which is a issue that city staff is doing more work on. So I was very pleased with that meeting as well. That concludes my report.
Great, thank you. I have a longer list than normal. First question I have, and don't be too quick to raise your hand here because you never know what's going to happen with this question. I want to know who's in charge of the city's ducks. There was a letter to Tom's got him. There was a letter to the editor regarding a duck family crossing at Las Posas, and I had heard of someone else who had the same experience with them crossing Arneal down by the apartments that have the waterfall there, assuming that's where they're headed. But I guess this is the time of year where the mommy duck is out with her kids teaching them how to explore the world, and they're just trotting down our city street. So I have no idea what you do with these ducks.
There should be a duck crossing sign on Carmen.
Right over here because they came across to the park. So, Tom, maybe you can find the old duck crossing signs and get them out there, or go find them and protect them. So you would hate to see a whole family of ducks run over.
If you don't mind, just the reason I raised my hand is when I was 11 years old, my mom and I were in the car, and we stopped on a busy street as the ducks were crossing, and we made the front page. The photo made the front page of the newspaper, so I only felt it appropriate that I sign on.
It's destiny, then. You're in charge of them. Let's see. I don't know if any of you noticed in the newspaper a shout out to one of our local businesses and one who provides great service to us. Roadrunner Shuttle Service was named Small Business.
In LA City.
Was it the year? I can't remember the time period, by the city of Los Angeles. So that's a great honor in a city that size. I noticed on one of our monthly reports, and it had the calls that had come in, and it was a question that I saw the question but never saw the answer, and it was, do Uber drivers need to have a business license in the city? Did anybody find that out?
No, they don't.
They don't, okay.
They're governed by the state.
By the state. So it's the Uber itself that has to have the right permit, and each individual driver doesn't have to then?
No.
Gotcha, okay. So we all know the answer now the next time somebody answers that question. Law Day dinner, I want to thank everybody who put that together. It is always a good night. I think one of the things that we need to talk about, and we've talked about it with our employee dinner too, is sometimes Las Posas is good, and sometimes they're a little slow. And dinner was billed at 7. I know I got my plate at 7:45, so I don't know if they just didn't have enough servers working that night, but and then half the people were gone before they ever served dessert. So I think it's something we need to either talk to them about, or we talked about perhaps doing one or the other of them at Spanish Hills versus Las Posas. We had talked about that before, having to do with the employee dinner as well. So while it was good, the food was good, it doesn't do as much good if you can't get it out there to have time to enjoy it. Website, I'm still having a problem with the search function. And I've heard that from other people. So while we bill at having a new website, they're still going to Google and searching because it's still hard to search and just type in words and things on our website. So I don't know what we can do to make that a little bit more user-friendly now that you've rolled it out.
Your Honor, we are using the Google search engine for our website, and it does take some time to educate itself. And we are aware of that, and we're working on it, so it should resolve itself in the near future.
Oh, so the website's learning Google.
Yeah, more or less, in simplistic terms, but it does update and cache searches and things like that, so it will get better as it's used because we do use the Google engine.
So we have to ask that question and then it learns it, or is it going through a process?
Well, it'll do the search,
everything.
Whatever, but it'll cache the results, which will make it faster in the future.
So if I go in and ask the same question over and over again, eventually we'll have the answer for him. And this was as simple as, how do you dispose of empty aerosol cans? Does it go in the waste? Does it go in, do you have to take it to the hazardous waste? Anyway, we Googled it and we found the answer. But let's see. Oh, old cars. We all got a letter from someone in a neighborhood regarding old cars on the street and cars that aren't moving. And I had already noticed on the old cars that have been on Lantana forever. And I've been watching them, and they don't seem to move as regularly as they used to. And are we really watching those old cars? They're just getting rusted, more rusted and more rusted.
One of them's on the end, and it keeps getting run into.
Yeah, to me, it's somebody's junkyard, and it's just, I don't know what we can do, but he's got, what, 3 or 4 of them there now?
They're all Lincolns.
And it doesn't look good, and it's, like you say, that one is sticking out there in the corner, and they're obviously not driven, they're just parked there, and it's, I'd appreciate it if we can do something to see if we can get the owner to move those out.
Can we ask the sheriff, because I know what they've been doing with them, and he might want to tell us about that gentleman that owns those cars, they rotate there in that area?
I haven't seen them rotating.
That one
They
that
rotated
keeps
some.
getting run
'Cause
into
they took
isn't
care of,
moving.
they've taken a couple of his cars.
On
They've taken a
Lantana?
couple of those, yes.
Okay.
He rotates them, but they took a couple.
Well, he hasn't rotated them at least recently. Can you check into those again for us? And maybe mark them and see if you can help him along.
It's all one guy.
Yeah. I've had a few calls regarding weeds, so if we make sure we have all the city weeds on all of our lots cleaned, and I'm assuming the fire department's out doing all the other lots and notifying property owners if they haven't cleared their weeds.
Your Honor, if they call about the weeds at Las Posas and Ponderosa on this end by the hospital, I turned it in a week and a half ago, and they've already notified them. They've been warned, and they got until a certain date to get them down. So those are going to be gone. And the other was our own properties weeds that we just bought, are buying there on Arneal Road.
I
Yeah.
think there's some on our conference site too, so obviously we want to set the tone for everyone to keep their weeds.
In the area where the monument's going to go on Daly at the freeway ramp. It's got, we cleared it not long ago, but it seems like they're about almost waist high again, those
I
little
thought it was
yellow
just
flower
cleared.
things.
Yeah, our landscape contractor maintains that area, so we'll make sure that's
Yeah.
addressed. And then also, you mentioned the conference center, future conference center site was just disked and weeds cut down last week.
Exactly.
The new site on Berry Street that the city recently purchased was also cleared of weeds.
Okay.
The one on Arneal, I don't believe we own yet.
No, we're in escrow for that property there. Just to add, we are actively doing our proactive residential for code compliance right now. So most of them have probably already received a notice, possibly their second notice. And then we've also conducted our annual weed, sweep of the city because the fire
good.
season's starting too. So,
Perfect. The thing about the water is all of the weeds grew. And we didn't mind them when they were green, but now that they're dying. Yeah. The last thing I have is a question of the city council as we're starting into our next policy committee meeting, and then as we get closer to city manager evaluations. For the last few years, we've always said we wanted to change the evaluation form, and by the time we say that, we're in the middle of one. Is that something that's still desired? And if so, we need to get that to the as a project for the policy committee and get to it sooner.
Sounds good to me. I've been a big proponent of changing that form because I don't think it's a very good one.
Now, Your Honor, also, some of those things that we all bring up about, how do we know that? The staff
Okay.
might know that about it, but how do we know it?
Right.
And that's kind of
Okay.
tells you.
So I think we heard direction. Can we get that on the policy committee agenda? And that is all I have, other than the fact we have some closed sessions we need to announce.
Yes, we do. I need to ask the city manager on the first closed session item, will that be needed tonight?
No, that item is not ripe.
All right. So the only closed session that you'll have will be the conference with labor negotiators. That's the authorized by Government Code Section 54957.6A. The agency designated representatives are listed in the agenda, and the unrepresented employees will be the city employees.
ACEVES.
Really? Okay, with that, we will recess to a closed session, and the city clerk will write the letters as far as our closing in the honor of our former employee. So with that, we are in recess.